What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 9mm Chapter 186. Arrival at 10,000 Kingdoms, Undersea Ghost, please customize. Advertisement, you felt it too, I thought you, a slow guy, wouldn't react. Momoshage, who was following Crocodile, teased. Get rid of it, I don't just know whether cultivation is good or not. Crocodile held his forehead and smiled bitterly. That's good. You can't survive in this sea area with just brute force, Momoshage smiled. After hearing the conversation between the two people, Katakuri looked attentive. We have entered the realm of all nations. Don't take it lightly. If you underestimate Mom and my brothers and sisters, you will suffer a big loss. Katakuri said slowly. We don't dare to underestimate your family members. We just want to relax and don't be too tense. Momoshage was worried about Katakuri. Katakuri has been silent since leaving Wano Kuni. If Momoshage hadn't smiled at Robin just now, he would have thought that Katakuri had become paralyzed. Humph. I don't need you to worry, I have already made up my mind, Katakushige said slowly. He was the first person to know that Chen was going to attack Wano Kuni. I have already been mentally prepared. Ever since he made his choice among the 27 members of the Junghihei family, he has never been confused at all. His expression is solemn now, it is only the first time he has commanded a battle of this scale. Just be strict with yourself and don't relax your nerves to avoid making mistakes. That's good, my worries are unnecessary, Momoshage breathed a sigh of relief. The three people stood on the deck together, staring at the calm sea in front of them. They all have a common belief in their hearts that they must win this time. Toot toot. A rapid alarm sound suddenly sounded. Alert! Alert! Pirate ship spotted ahead. Alert! Alert! A pirate ship has been spotted behind us. Alert! Alert! Pirate ship spotted to the southwest. All of a sudden, the announcements on the warship sounded one after another. The sentries on the top of the ship discovered the pirate ships one after another. Before the alarm sound ended, Katakuri could already see the figure of the opponent's pirate ship. Coming from all directions, at least a dozen ships surrounded them. Advertisement: it was too late to escape at this time, and the only way was to emergency anchor and stop in place. Avoid direct collision with the opponent's pirate ship. The sudden alarm and the oppressive feeling of being surrounded by pirate ships. Many Marines' faces changed color and their actions became irritable and panicked. This is the real battle. Ace turned pale and stood on the deck at a loss. Originally, he wanted to participate in this battle to prove that he was no longer a child. But when the battle really started, Ace realized his weakness. Robin saw this kind of formation for the first time and was so frightened that he leaned against the corner of the warship and did not dare to move. At the critical moment, it was the three Hancock sisters who pulled the children up and entered the cabin together. Don't forget to comfort them. Everyone encounters a battle at this time. You won't be afraid next time. Katakuri glanced at the pirate ships surrounding him, and there were many familiar faces on them. They are all my brothers and sisters. After the opponent surrounded themselves, they did not immediately launch an attack. Maybe he was afraid of Admiral's reputation, or maybe he had other ideas. When the Charlotte family saw Katakuri, they also had mixed emotions. The two sides looked at each other from a distance. Who would have thought that when we meet again, we will be enemies? It is no longer a family that can sit together and gather together. Katakuri. Why did you betray your mother? Why did you abandon your family? The first person to speak was Parasparrow. As the eldest son, he is certainly qualified to question his younger brother. Parasparrow wanted to ask clearly what Katakuri was thinking. However, Owen, Dafu and other compatriot brothers seemed to be a little lower. First a Marine now. Capturing you pirates is the right thing to do without any reason. Katakuri responded righteously. Does Marine need a reason to catch pirates? Don't you think of us as family anymore? Parasparrow found it unbelievable. How can family members fight? Advertisement: Parasparrow knew that Katakuri was affectionate towards his family and was not a cold-blooded animal. Not only Parasparrow, but other brothers and sisters also felt that Katakuri's answer was a bit callous. Unless, as Parasparrow said, Katakuri no longer regards them as family. Therefore, when leading the warship to attack them, there was no hesitation. Of course you are still my family, and I still love you, but before that first was Marine, do you understand? Katakuri explained again. Marine's identity comes before his family, which is one of the reasons for Katakuri to make this important decision. My stupid brother, now I give you a chance to surrender directly, otherwise we will launch an attack and sink your warship. Because you are my brother, I give you such a chance. Do you understand? Parasparrow looked pitiful. It seemed that the power of life and death for Katakuri and others was already in his hands. As soon as he finished speaking, the originally calm sea surface suddenly became rippled. However, facing Parasparrow's threat, Katakuri, Crocodile, and Momoshage all laughed. Even though he was surrounded now, Katakuri had never been afraid. Through the blue sea surface, you can vaguely see figures like ghosts under the sea. The water splash began to rotate at high speed in the same direction, forming a vortex in the blink of an eye. Parasparrow's expression changed, because what Kotaku said was indeed true. Katakuri smiled confidently. Stop trying to be brave. Don't look at your current situation. Do you still have a chance? Parasparrow still didn't understand. Is Katakuri really something they can defeat? They also recalled how powerful Katakuri was before, powerful enough for their brothers and sisters to look up to. Not only Perisparrow, but the other brothers and sisters also looked unhappy. I really don't take my brother seriously. He has never been afraid of his brothers and sisters, because they are no opponents. In this situation, Katakuri is still stubborn. The only person Katakuri is afraid of is her mother. Have we not seen each other for too long? Have you forgotten that I am my mother's most powerful son? You have never defeated me since 990. Although he is the eldest son in the family, his strength is not as good as Katakuri. Swimming so fast on the bottom of the sea makes people shudder. Chapter 187. The Fishman Army, Auntie's Confidence, please customize. Advertisement, what is this? Perisparrow felt something was wrong. Because their ship has begun to rock with the whirlpool. The helmsman can no longer control the direction. Mermaids are mermaids. Finally someone discovered the identity of these undersea ghosts. They turned out to be mermaids. In Big Mom's pirate group, there are also descendants of the mermaid clan. Charlotte Praline, Big Mom's 21st daughter, is a hybrid of mermaid and human. She was the first to discover that the ghosts living under the sea were actually mermaids. Attack! Attack all! Perisparrow shouted immediately. It's too late and can't be delayed any longer. The artillery of more than a dozen pirate ships had been aimed at the warship and fired directly. Some people even launched an attack on the underwater fishmen. However, by this time the attack was already too late. The vortex caused their ships to sway from side to side, and most of their artillery missed. Some even hit other pirate ships. Those who were lucky enough not to deviate could threaten the safety of the warships. Black bullets popped out of Katakuri's fingers, and all the shells that could threaten the warship were bombed. Rice cake spring blade. From the index finger, the sticky rice ball combined with armament hockey. It is much more flexible than the cannonballs fired by pirate ships. Deal with these begging fishmen first. Perisparrow realized that he would not solve the threat under the sea. They won't be able to fight, so everyone launched attacks on the seabed one after another, using all kinds of weapons. The sea surface stirred up waves. If it were land, I'm afraid a layer of skin would have been peeled off. After a while, the sea calmed down and the previous whirlpool disappeared. Perisparrow breathed a sigh of relief. This kind of invisible enemy is the most difficult to deal with. No blood, no blood, someone shouted. Only then did Perisparrow wake up. The matter was far from over. Advertisement, be careful, the mermaids have not disappeared, they may be at the bottom of our ship. The mermaid clan can no longer be seen through the water. The only explanation is that they hid under the boat just now. Only in this way can we avoid the attack just now. Boom! Before Perisparrow could continue to issue orders, he felt the ship's hull shake violently. He almost fell off the deck, but he still managed to steady himself by holding on to the rope. This is a giant ship of 100 tons. How many mermaids must be under the boat to almost overturn their boat? After Perisparrow stabilized himself, he discovered that 2 ships had been directly overturned. The mermaid tribe that had been hidden finally surfaced. However, what they did frightened Perisparrow even more. Every time a mermaid appears, it pulls the fallen pirate into the water. These pirates were never able to surface again. Retreat first, retreat first. In fact, before Perisparrow could issue an order, everyone had already fled for their lives. It is difficult to win against the mermaids at sea. What's more, they were ambushed by the opponent this time. Because of their familiarity with the waters of all nations, they mistakenly thought that they were hunters. It was only at this moment that I discovered that they were the prey being chased. Looking at the pirates fleeing in all directions, Katakuri directly ordered to drive straight in the direction of Cake Island. Boom! A figure broke through the water and jumped directly in front of Katakuri. It's Jinbei. Jinbei held 2 people in his hands and fainted. This is your family, they all seem to be capable people. In the 2 pirate ships that were sunk just now, there was a member of the Charlotte family responsible for leading the pirates. Thank you, Jin Lai, Katakuri said, although there was still no expression on his face. But I am very grateful in my heart. He also noticed that 2 family members fell into the water, but as a commander, he could not be the first to rescue them. Besides, Katakuri is also an esper and cannot enter the water. Fortunately, Jinbei helped him so that his hands were not stained with the blood of his family. Advertisement, it was ordered by Admiral, the punishment of heaven, to try not to kill the Charlotte family members when they see them, Jinbei explained. No matter what, thank you. Katakuri was even more moved. Unexpectedly, Admiral had already prepared for this matter in advance. At this time, the fishmen also jumped on the deck one after another, and there were about 1,000 of them. They had been following the warship secretly for a long time. This was Katakuri's confidence to dare to march straight in. These pirates have been beaten away by us. Will the next battle be easier? Karakdar muttered to himself. He thought these escaped pirates would never return to Wonguo. Generally speaking, it is common for defeated pirates to disperse in a hurry. You are overthinking. No one dares to escape from Mom, at least until Mom is defeated, Katakuri said slowly. Although he has not returned to Wonguo for many years, he knows that his mother's temper and rules cannot be changed. Cake Island. As expected, all the pirates came back honestly, and all of them were disgraced. Failed? The aunt looked at the people in front of her with a smile on her face. No one dared to raise their heads, they all drooped their heads. According to their understanding of their mother, the next step must be the wrath of thunder. Actually, I didn't expect you to be able to stop the heavenly punishment, Admiral. You don't need to blame yourself too much. But I'm surprised that you came back alive so much. The medical look on Auntie's face remained the same. It turns out that Auntie thought that everyone had suffered a divine punishment from Admiral, so the current situation was still acceptable. The faces of Parasparrow and others became even more ugly. How dare they say that they have not seen the heavenly punishment Admiral? He had already been disrupted by the mermaid tribe and had to flee on the back foot. It seems that the heavenly punishment Admiral has not made much progress in these years. Wang Nujiao, this battle may not be impossible to win. Chen also nodded beside him and said. The vanguard was not completely wiped out, which seemed to them to be a good news. Parasparrow, you did a good job. The ant even praised her. Parasparrow's face turned pale and he no longer knew what to do. Without his mother's compliment, he might have reported the truth. Except for Parasparrow, everyone else breathed a sigh of relief. Anyway, all the pressure is on the elder brother. Lin. In this way, we will have a direct battle with the heavenly punishment Admiral on Cake Island, so there is no chance of winning, Longbread also said beside him. He is Auntie's true confidant. That's right, I'm not the little girl I was before. The aunt nodded. Looking back on her experiences over the years, she has grown a lot. It's not just the body that's out of shape, it's also trouble in all other senses. Chapter 188, Steel Balloon, Charlotte Lin, please customize. Advertisement. The familiar scenery passed before his eyes, and Katakuri knew that they were about to land on Cake Island. The last time I left Cake Island, my family saw me off. Unexpectedly, he would come again as an enemy. Report, the pier ahead is very flat and empty. The soldier in charge of the lookout zone reported back that he could already see Cake Island. Katakuri frowned. He didn't think the Big Mom pirates would retreat. It seems that this is waiting for them to come ashore. Otherwise, Katakuri would not choose to land directly if he appeared on the deck. Wow, it's really a Cake Island, there's so much cream. Robin came to the deck again, with stars in his eyes. Girls should go back. This is a battle for men. Ace also walked out. Although it had only been a few hours, Ace seemed calmer than before. You are still far from growing up to be a boy. Go back to overtime and stay there. Momosagi came over and picked one up in one hand. I want cake. I want to fight, the two children protested. Momosagi turned into a tyrant at this moment and didn't care about the opinions of the two children at all. He walked back to the room. When arranging the three Hancock sisters, be sure to keep an eye on the two children. Vice Admiral, is 783 landing? The dock was close at hand, and a soldier asked. Crocodile, you lead 500 soldiers to land as a vanguard first, Katakuri gave the order calmly. Understood. Crocodile smiled slightly and couldn't wait any longer. He is very clear about his role, which is to find out the enemies who may be hiding. Avoid being ambushed when landing. Under the leadership of Crocodile, 500 soldiers first entered Cake Island to conduct a search. After confirming that there were no enemies within 5 kilometers, the signal was sent. Katakuri led most of the remaining troops to follow the landing, leaving Momosagi and some soldiers to guard the warship. Advertisement to prevent someone from taking the opportunity to sneak attack. Jinbei's elite force of fishmen also landed. Although land is not their home field, it does not mean that they cannot fight on land. On the contrary, because of his physical fitness, his combat power is much stronger than that of an average marine. If the number of mermaids were not too small, humans would not be the overlords of this world. Finally landed on Cake Island, we reached Auntie's lair. It's just like the legend says, everything here is made of cakes. It's not just Cake Island, there are many islands in the entire world that are made of food. It's really a waste of resources for such a place to be occupied by pirates. The Marines were chirping and seemed very excited. They were walking in the woods, and the amazing thing was that these woods were also made of cakes. Some people can't wait to taste the cake to see if it is as delicious as the legend. Since there is the first one to eat, there will be the second one and the third one. You are not allowed to eat the cake on the island, the battle is not over yet, Katakuri scolded. This voice adulterated hockey and instantly shocked all the soldiers. No one dared to disobey Katakuri's order, and they all spat out the cakes in their mouths. In fact, this cake is not delicious, it just looks good on the outside. Earlier, this was just an ordinary island. It was Baguette who transformed this place and the other surrounding islands, through his ability to eat the fruit. Eating the fruit will turn anything the Baguette touches into a physical object. However, although this kind of food can fill the stomach, it is not actually delicious. Eat, I allow you to eat, a voice chuckled. The soldiers were confused and were looking for the direction of the sound. Katakuri's expression changed, he was too familiar with this voice. It's my mother's voice. Alert! The enemy is coming, Katakuri shouted. The words just fell. A huge figure walked out of the woods. CHBB. After seeing this terrifying existence with a body like a small giant coming out, the soldiers already realized who the person in front of them was. The owner of Wangguo Island, Aunt. Advertisement. Even though Big Mom hasn't released any hockey yet, many soldiers are already feeling short of breath. This is the innate sense of oppression that aunts have. After eating my cake, don't even think about leaving here. Give me your soul, he. The aunt laughed. In the eyes of Aunt, these soldiers are food delivered to the door. You don't need to eat them every 6 months, you can suck them up at any time. Following Big Mom were the entire cadres of Big Mom's pirate group. In a battle of this level, ordinary pirates are no longer able to act as a fighting force. What both sides are competing for is the strength of the core members. Compared to the huge lineup of the Big Mom pirates, Katakuri's combat effectiveness on paper is indeed inferior. Many soldiers had begun to take a step back involuntarily, without even noticing it. However, the mermaid tribe led by Jinbei did not retreat at all. They carry the Admiral feeling of divine punishment and will never be timid. If you don't cooperate, the only option is to start a war, Katakuri said slowly. After discovering that Chen did not disembark with this force, Auntie showed up. Auntie originally had the last trace of fantasy about Katakuri. Katakuri took a step forward and began to persuade the ant to surrender. He returned to his family again and became his strongest fighting force. Katakuri, do you really want to go to war with Mom? Don't you have family in your heart? Katakuri didn't need to answer. Auntie had already determined that Chen must be inside the warship. Being able to deal with the group of Marines in front of them will greatly weaken the Marines' combat effectiveness. What, cooperation? Is your head broken? Do I need to cooperate with Marine? The ant looked very unhappy and looked at Katakuri with an angry face. Didn't answer the ant's question, then this is an opportunity for yourself. In fact, when Katakuri led Marine to land, many eyes were already watching them. Mom, surrender. Maybe there will be a chance to cooperate with the Admiral and avoid being arrested. Assuming Chen appears here, then Big Mom will lead the Cadres to attack the Marine ship. He thought that after Katakuri saw him, he would miss the friendship between his family members in the past. Where's Admiral? I haven't seen him for a long time. The ant looked around cautiously, but found no trace of Chen. If she wasn't afraid of Chen's strength, Auntie would have launched an attack long ago. To deal with powerful enemies, it is normal to use strategies. Chapter 189 The War Between Mother and Son, please customize. Advertisement. Of course my family is very important in my heart, but I must implement my beliefs and uphold the justice in my heart. Katakuri said, patting his chest. Are you worried about the rules I have set? I can make an exception for you and won't punish you for leaving the family. Auntie has thought about this matter a lot and feels that Katakuri is still afraid of the rules she has set. The existence of rules deters many people who want to leave, but also makes some people dare not appear in front of them again. As an ant, Katakuri has done outstanding work and does not want to lose it so easily. Am I, Katakuri, someone who is afraid of death? Everything I do is for justice. Katakuri threw away his cloak. Standing straight in front of the ant. Justice, justice. What's the use of justice? Can it make me become the Pirate King? Can it make me no longer lonely? And he couldn't understand? Why would Katakuri insist on something so ethereal? Mom, you will never understand that people like you will never have a real family. Katakuri sighed. What, are you saying that I won't have a real family? In fact, most of this race is gathered on Wangwo Island. Auntie has a hobby of collecting races and wants to build a paradise where all races live together. This is a way for Big Mom to conquer the world and possess the power possessed by various races. At the same time, it can also be used for marriage to strengthen the bond between oneself and other powers. In fact, the most important point is related to the ant's experience in a nun's home during her childhood. That was the happiest time for Auntie. Among the nuns, there are also people of multiple races. The nun who tolerated her and liked her became the most important person in Auntie's heart. She didn't know that she was devouring everyone in her madness, and even gained the nun's devil fruit ability. What Auntie wants to do is just replicate a larger nun's home. Find back the happiness and joy of the past. But Katakuri actually said that he would never have a real family. Katakuri, I'm angry, I want to destroy you with my own hands. His eyes were blood red and spitting fire, followed by his fists. In an instant, his fist also turned into the color of black iron. This is armament hockey covering the body. Big Mom is the owner of Conqueror's hockey, but her weapon color is more powerful. The thundercloud Zeus and the sun Prometheus overhead also grew several times larger, flying over Auntie's head. Get away! Katakuri immediately realized that Big Mom was about to carry out indiscriminate destruction. Ant in a rage will not consider her problems when attacking. Advertisement. What's even more terrifying is when the ant suffers from Soraya. At that time, the ant will fall into madness, disown her relatives, and even kill her own children. During the battle, he will not make any dodges or defenses, he will only attack randomly. The most terrifying thing is that although Auntie gets sick from time to time, no one can kill Auntie when she is sick. Killing you while you are sick is not suitable for Aunties. On the contrary, many assassins were directly shot to death by the ant. Marines spread out to avoid Big Mom's attack. Even the members of Big Mom's pirate group are far away from Big Mom. They don't want to be affected either. Thunder and fire strike. The huge fist was wrapped with flames and thunder and struck towards Katakuri. Just by seeing this move, you can tell how powerful it is. Not to mention Katakuri who faced this punch. Katakuri had no intention of fighting head-on with Big Mom. He knew that there was no hope of winning in this way. The only thing he can use is his own fruit ability. And the talent at observation hockey. He was able to warn everyone in advance to retreat just now because he was aware of the danger. After retreating to avoid the attack, Katakuri stretched out a whip made of rice cakes from his hand. He directly wrapped around one of the ant's arms and then pulled hard. Bird rice cake. This is one of the tricks Katakuri will often use in the future. The strong sticky ability even makes Luffy unable to move in the fourth gear snake state in the plot. Auntie's steps were unsteady, and she was actually dragged to the ground by Katakuri. Plop. The fat body fell to the ground and stirred up a cloud of dust. Mother. Everyone in the Charlotte family shouted in worry. On the contrary, Marine cheered. Let's not be idle anymore, it's time to fight. Crocodile rushed forward immediately. Please give me flowers. His target is Parasparrow, the eldest son of the Charlotte family. Advertisement Jinbei also launched an attack, but the person he attacked was Bao Bao. The other soldiers launched a joint attack, taking out muskets and other weapons. The Fishmen have also joined Marine, and they already have a tacit understanding with Marine. This makes up for the shortcomings of human soldiers who are weak and easily dispersed in a rush. He stood in front of the human soldiers and served as a cover. The war is about to break out. This is the battle between the cadres and the Marines. The two sides were in a stalemate, and no one could take advantage for a while. With the strong Fishmen blocking the front, the officers of the Big Mom Pirates were unable to attack the soldiers behind them. Instead, they were suppressed by the opponent's firepower and could not find an opportunity to attack, but everyone knows that the real key battle still depends on the outcome of the battle between Big Mom and Katakuri. Whoever fails will be defeated like a mountain. I really have you, Katakuri. Auntie got up from the ground, her face even more angry. Grabbing the whip made of rice cake, it was burned directly into black soot. Oh ah! Katakuri activated his sense of sight to ultimate, foreseeing the direction of these thunder and lightning and fireballs. No, you must not admit defeat. He shuttled back and forth among the thunder and fire without getting hurt. Yes, Mom. Two voices said in unison. Katakuri trembled all over, seeing that the thunder energy suddenly stopped working. Suddenly a strange scream came from the ant. Zeus, Prome, rest, let's go together. Auntie had already planned not to hold back. He was hit several times in a short time, and his clothes were burned. Bolts of lightning and fireballs struck. It's Conqueror's Hockey, Katakuri gritted his teeth. You can only rely on your body's subconscious reaction to avoid the thunder and fire. Katakuri was also shocked. He thought that this move could control Big Mom for at least a while. The two clouds flew directly in front of Katakuri and began to attack. It has been discovered that Big Mom is using Conqueror's Hockey to influence her. Knife. Katakuri activated Observation Hockey again, and suddenly felt a slight strange feeling. But I didn't expect to be easily relieved by the ant. Chapter 190. You are just my masterpiece, please customize. Advertisement. A picture suddenly appeared in his mind. When he was avoiding the thunder and fire, ants suddenly attacked him. He took off the hat on his head and turned it into a machete. He slashed towards himself, releasing huge sword energy from the blade. Powerful country. Katakuri recognized this move as it was the fighting method of the giants. When Auntie was in a giant village, she secretly learned the sword skills of the local giants. Katakuri once witnessed Big Mom using her power to directly destroy a huge pirate ship of the other party. The pirate group destroyed the opponent's pirate group, and no one was able to survive. In this picture, Katakuri also had the left half of his body cut off, and his internal organs were leaking out. In an instant, the picture disappeared and Kataku regained consciousness. However, the scene just now was so shocking, it was exactly the same as the real scene. 380, even had a vague pain in the left half of his body. The next bolt of lightning struck Katakuri's left side, and he dodged to the right. My scalp suddenly became numb. Isn't this exactly the same as the picture in my mind just now? Thinking of this, Katakuri immediately took a dozen steps back, completely away from his aunt. Oh! Auntie's brows jumped, and she had already noticed something different about Katakuri. Katakuri was panting and staring at his aunt. An early warning appeared in my mind again. The move that Big Mom will use this time is Flame Jet. Use the power of Prometheus to control the flames and turn the flames into whip-like weapons to attack the opponent. Because it can expand and contract freely, it is also called Flame Jet. Sure enough, Auntie stretched out her hand to summon Prometheus, and the other party directly put it on Auntie's hand. The flame whip swept towards Katakuri. According to the picture in his mind, Katakuri dodged all the attacks. Not bad at all. You have seen it, the future. Auntie stood still and did not move. Instead, he looked at Katakuri with great interest. That's right. Katakuri did not deny it. When observation hockey reaches the ultimate level, he will be able to see the short-term future and predict dangers. This is no secret. Advertisement Katakuri just didn't expect that he would break through and reach this level during the battle with his mother. Not bad, not bad. To reach this level, hard work alone is not enough, you must have talent. The ant nodded with satisfaction. It is indeed the most perfect work that I have seen, and it has already shown its due talent. In the grand line, people who work hard are like crucian carp crossing the river. But only a very small number of people can stand at the top. Many times, bloodline and talent determine the upper limit of most people. People without talent will only play a small role in their lives. And those who have talents are destined to be different from birth. For example, Auntie herself, when she was 5 years old, her fighting ability exceeded that of most adults. He can kill a bear with one punch while helping the giants drive away the mosquitoes on their backs. A slap broke the opponent's ribs. That's why Auntie places so much emphasis on the importance of talent. Those children who have no talent are just garbage in her eyes. In my opinion, the most important thing is the belief in the heart, which is justice, Katakuri replied. My son, for the sake of family, as long as you return to your identity as a pirate to fight against the Admiral, we will still be a family. The ant smiled and said. When the pirates around heard what Big Mom said, they were all stunned. Usually here at Auntie, no one can break the rules. Unexpectedly, Ant gave Katakuri 2 chances. Suddenly, the brothers and sisters of the Charlotte family were somewhat unbalanced in their hearts. They think they contribute more to the family. Unexpectedly, after meeting Katakuri, who had disappeared for many years, Auntie would still be so fond of him. Parasparrow was even more unhappy. As the eldest son, he contributed the most, but he did not get the respect he deserved. Stop wishful thinking. I will never give up on the justice in my heart. Katakuri refused again. Even an ant would find it unbearable to be rejected twice. Okay, let me show you what real power is. Auntie became serious. She wanted Katakuri to die. And he died very miserably. Only in this way can anyone else who has any thoughts of resistance be completely eradicated from this idea. Advertisement, oh ho. The ant opened her mouth, and strange notes came out of her mouth. The sound is so loud that it can pierce people's eardrums and affect their movements. The sound emitted even turns into sound waves, which can cause substantial damage to objects. Under Big Mom's sonic attack, Katakuri was unable to use his observation haki normally. Not to mention Katakuri, all the Marines and pirates present were injured. One by one, they covered their ears and lay on the ground, just to feel better. A large piece of the surrounding cake trees also fell down. Auntie, this is just the beginning. While screaming, he had already rushed towards Katakuri. A huge black fist was wrapped with a large amount of flames and thunder and lightning falling from the sky, like punishment from the gods. Katakuri also turned into black, covering haki on himself. The right arm expanded several times and looked like a giant's arm. There are also barbs growing on the arms, making the arms look like maces. Cut the rice cake. Katakuri spins his huge arm at high speed, and his power seems to be as powerful as Big Mom's. Many people stopped and watched the battle between Big Mom and Katakuri. They all know that this blow will ultimately determine who is the winner. Finally, the two fists met together, making a huge explosion sound. Like a ravaging creature, Big Mom's fist ruthlessly defeated Katakuri. The high-speed rotating mace cannot break the armament haki of 3.3 ant at all. Instead, it was directly crushed into mud by the ant's fist. Katakuri was severely knocked away for hundreds of meters before finally falling to the ground. The right arm returned to its original shape, already bloody and bloody. Katakuri himself was lying flat on the ground, with blood spurting out of his mouth. Katakuri, you didn't use your observation haki, which you were good at, but chose to fight me head-on. That's why you lost. The ant walked over step by step. No matter how strong you are, it's just my masterpiece. Of course this is just one of them. In the final analysis, there is a huge difference in strength between the two people. Is that it? Katakuri's eyes had become blurry. He really wanted to stand up, but his body no longer obeyed. At this moment, a familiar figure stood in front of him. Chapter 191. No one can leave my territory, please customize. Advertisement, hey, don't die, it's Crocodile. Just now, Crocodile had been fighting with Parapellos and was still at a disadvantage. If it wasn't for Sandfruit's ability, he would have been defeated long ago. But just now Parapellos suddenly became uninterested in fighting and had no intention of attacking at all. Let Crocodile escape and come to Katakushiki's side. I won't die, until I implement my beliefs. Katakuri used his uninjured left arm to support himself to stand up. As a result, he coughed up 2 more mouthfuls of blood, staining his neck and shirt red. Crocodile's heart sank, already knowing that Katakuri did not have the ability to continue fighting. Now this is barely supported by willpower. Boom. This is the sound of Ant's footsteps. She has already arrived in front of the two people. You can still stand up. I thought you only had 1 breath left. The ant's smile was very evil. He didn't feel any guilt at all for hurting his son. 27 was preparing to kill Katakuri, who had no resistance. Don't ignore me. Crocodile didn't expect that Auntie's eyes didn't even include him. While roaring, he also launched an attack. His hands turned into huge golden sand blades, and they slashed towards the ant's abdomen. The new move he recently researched is more powerful than the original Desert Blade. It's called the Golden Desert Blade. Oh, there's another little thing here. Auntie lowered her head as if she had just seen Crocodile. This is the price for underestimating me. Crocodile's mouth showed a smile, and his Golden Desert Blade had already struck the ant's body. But the next second, Crocodile's expression changed. The Golden Desert Blade actually shattered in the collision, and he himself also suffered the backlash from the opponent's weapon color. After his arms returned to their normal state, they could no longer lift them up. Are you Marine's masseur? Your skills are not very good, Auntie laughed. Weird. Monster. Crocodile finally realized the difference. Why can Auntie become the overlord of Wonguo Island and be called a big pirate? The opponent's strength was beyond what Crocodile could imagine. Advertisement, monster. Ha 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 ha. You are all subordinates of the Heavenly Punishment Admiral. Don't you know what a real monster is? Although the ant was laughing. But there was a hint of fear in the smile. When it comes to monsters, Admiral is definitely the first one. The disintegration of the Cross Pirates back then was a shadow that Yin Ma will never forget. Captain Cross, who was so powerful, was also killed by Admiral. Now Auntie thinks that she has grown up to the same level as Captain Cross. But can he escape Captain Cross' own fate? Die, the ant raised her hands. A large number of souls were poured into Zeus and Prometheus. Clouds of thunder, lightning and fire appeared in the sky. Getting bigger and bigger. It even changed the color of the sky above the Cake Island, with black clouds on one side and scorching fire waves on the other. It's extremely weird, like the end of the world in mythology. Take everyone to retreat. Mother is going to destroy us in one fell swoop. Katakuri had realized it. This move is not just for himself. Big Mom wants to eliminate all Marines present. No, I'll stay and fight with you. Although Crocodile was also injured, he refused to abandon Katakuri. Idiot. You have more important things to do. Follow my orders. I am the commander. Katakuri glanced at Crocodile. Yes. Crocodile replied subconsciously. Now he is a qualified Marine, and obeying orders is a soldier's bounden duty. Retreat, retreat. Crocodile was already running to tell him. We block these enemies and let humans go first. Jinbei also issued an order to the mermaid clan. Not a single mermaid had any complaints, and they all still stood in the front row. The opponent Jinbei chose, Longbread, has already been defeated by him. Although it was not fatal, it also lost its combat effectiveness. Longbread is old and has lost most of its strength. We have to go together, we will not retreat alone. That's right, you have blocked many attacks just now, I can't let you stop anymore. If you want to leave, you go first. We can use muskets to support you. The human soldiers shouted one after another and refused to retreat alone. Advertisement Jinbei was very moved when he saw this scene. He did not expect that human soldiers would treat them as companions at critical moments. This gives Jinbei more confidence in the future of the mermaid clan and human beings coexisting peacefully. Retreat, don't let down the good intentions of our human brothers. Jinbei is also a decisive person and knows that now is not the time to dawdle. The mermaids began to retreat one after another, towards the direction of the ship. Sure enough, the Charlotte family came after them, not wanting them to be held back. Intense gunshots resounded all around, and the human soldiers no longer cherished ammunition. Bullets were like raindrops, pouring towards the Big Mom pirates. The opponent had to avoid the edge temporarily. Ordinary bullets will not cause much damage to them, but many bullets are mixed with seastone. The large number was also the first time for them to see it. In addition to seastone bullets, there are also weapons made of seastone such as large nets and shackles. After all, Wano-kuni is the place where Seastone 363 is produced. It is reasonable for the soldiers stationed in Wano-kuni to be equipped with a large number of such weapons. If this were not the case, ordinary Marine soldiers would not be able to survive facing ability users now. The ant was shocked to find that her figure began to sway. Want to leave? This is my territory. No one can leave without my permission? Katakuri, you can really surprise me, and you have also awakened the fruit's ability. A look of surprise appeared in the ant's eyes. A giant lightning pillar even hit the middle of Marine's camp. The body that was already seriously injured was filled with new energy. This sword technique that falls from the sky is also the sword technique of the giants. Stop, Katakuri, I'm here and I can't let you continue to do evil. Auntie waved her hands. Katakuri roared. Emperor's sword broken blade. Marine had to flee for his life, and his originally intact plastic surgery was instantly cut off. The broadsword in his hand was wrapped in flames and fell from the sky. Then I can't keep you anymore, just die. Auntie jumped up and her feet left the ground that had turned into glutinous rice. Fire from heaven. The terrain underfoot even began to change, becoming like glutinous rice. But the next second it turned into anger. Thunder. A large amount of flames fell from the sky, blocking Marine's retreat route. Chapter 192. Lin, long time no see, please customize. Advertisement Katakuri looked up at the oncoming giant sword. He was literally unable to move. Although the last power just awakened the power of the fruit, it caused changes in the surrounding area. But he no longer had the strength to continue with the next move. The only thing he knew was that he would definitely die if he was hit by this move. Charlotte Lin, long time no see. A faint voice appeared in Auntie's ears, and she fell from the air with a shock. Charlotte Lin, except for the baguette. I forgot who the last person was who called me that, it seemed to be Kaido. Because it is feared by the world, it has been called Big Mom for a long time. It's like calling him an old friend, it should be very cordial. But there was only fear in the ant's heart. After landing, she looked around and finally discovered the source of the sound. It turned out to be directly overhead. The Heavenly Punishment Admiral was floating there, looking down at him. When did you come? Auntie felt herself trembling. I thought I was fully prepared this time and would be very calm when I saw the Heavenly Punishment Admiral. But he didn't expect that the fear of facing Lu Chen had already been buried in his heart. When we meet again, everything breaks out. Probably when you and Katakuri just started. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said. During this time, he was indeed not in the warship. But still sitting in Wano-kuni. Just in case any crazy pirates actually attack Wano-kuni and cause havoc. Although Lu Chen was able to use Flying Thunder God to rush back immediately, he lost face. He wants to make Wano-kuni a holy place that no one dares to attack. Let everyone know that touching Wano-kuni will result in death. It's a pity that there are a lot of crazy pirates these days, but not many of them die. No one tried to attack Wano-kuni at all, which made Lu Chen very disappointed. Advertisement. When the warship approached Wangguo Island, he used the Flying Thunder God technique to enter the cabin. When the warship was besieged before, the road was inside. He did not act because he believed Katakuri and others could handle it. But that's where it ends. Facing Big Mom, Katakuri has no chance of winning. But this is an excellent opportunity for practice, with a terrifying opponent like Auntie as a sparring partner. It also allows Katakuri to truly experience the feeling between life and death. During this time in Wano-kuni, Katakuri's haki and strength have improved a lot. But there is no qualitative breakthrough. Now facing Big Mom, Katakuri has really grown up. And it exceeded Lu Chen's expectations. Observation Hockey has the ability to foresee the future, and the glutinous rice fruit has completed its awakening state. At this time, Katakuri was lying straight on the ground. The moment Chen appeared, he fainted. It's God's punishment, Admiral, we will definitely win. Come on pirates, the real battle begins now. The mermaid tribe, all rush forward with me. Marine's morale increased greatly, it has regrouped and launched another attack. The Charlotte family was immediately at a disadvantage, and they had no intention of fighting. Everyone stared at Chen's every move. Once Big Mom fails, they will immediately try their best to escape. God's punishment, Admiral, I am no longer the little girl I was before, I will destroy you this time, Auntie said through gritted teeth. Really, I haven't changed much at all, Chen smiled. 6 Styles and Senju Hashirama's Life Wood Style Collection. The return of life after improvement is still the secret to staying young. Although it is a secret, Chen has taught it to many people. The only drawback to others using it is that they can no longer fight in the future. Those who came to Qin Miao for help for this reason were also female generals. Monster, you are a real monster, the aunt also looked in disbelief. Advertisement, why is it that Chen is still the same after not seeing each other for many years? If you didn't know that Chen's fruit ability is thunder and lightning, you should kill it with thunder fruit's ability. Then the ant will definitely suspect that Chen ate some devil fruit to maintain his appearance. Am I a monster? At least I didn't devour the people I love the most, such as the Carmelite nun, Chen said lightly. Why do you know the nun's name and what do you mean? Auntie stared at Chen. Poor Lin, you thought you were abandoned by the nuns. In fact, you ate everyone in the lamb house, so you gained the ability of the soul fruit. Chen sighed. Don't look at it, Auntie is now a complete tyrant and a notorious pirate. When she was very young, she was also a kind-hearted child. Just because the power is too strong and Yamato is very clumsy, it often causes damage. He was exiled to a desert island by his parents, but fortunately he was adopted by the Carmelite nuns of the House of Lambs. In each other's body, it was because of my mother that I felt the warmth of home. Now that Auntie has established Torrent Island, she is moving forward for this dream. Chen looked at the long bread. All eyes were on the baguette. That is to build a country where all races are treated equally. He was even more confused because he was the only witness to this matter. Now, there is nothing to hide. Why would Chen know about this? Carmelite once lied to his aunt and told her that he had a dream. Bao was protected inside by the Charlotte family. He was only injured but did not lose consciousness. Lin, after you finished eating the cake, you were not satisfied. Instead, you had a seizure disorder and ate everyone in the lamb house. Long bread said slowly. Bao, you were a witness at the time. Come and tell her the truth. You can't be allowed to take this matter into the coffin. That would be too unfair to your captain. If you have a fruity loaf of bread, you won't have to worry about not being able to provide dessert for your aunt. Sure enough, Auntie followed Long Bread's advice and let Long Bread start his career as a pirate again. Jinbei also ordered a suspension of the attack Li Zhao's at this time. He guessed that Chen might want to use words to disintegrate the aunt's ambition. Longbread and Auntie have been together for decades, and the other party has never looked at him like this. Bao, tell me what you saw then. The aunt turned to look at Bao with a ferocious expression. What are you talking about? The Carmelites just left. After my kingdoms have accepted all races, the Carmelites will come back. A look of expectation appeared on the aunt's face. Longbread took a fancy to Auntie's super strength and immature mind, so he decided to step forward to win over her. Chapter 193. Nightmare Heavenly Punishment, please customize. Advertisement. After getting along for many years, the two people also developed a very stable friendship. Now is also the time to tell everything, otherwise you don't know what day you will be taken into the coffin. It's me. Kill the Carmelites. The aunt held her head. It's hard to accept this shocking fact. In the world of pirates, cannibalism is not a one-time thing. This is not a world with only friendship and passion. In the comics, red-footed Baladi ate his own leg and survived in the end. After it was changed to a TV animation, it became Baladi cutting off his own feet to save Sanji. Don't be too sad. The Carmelites are not good people. She did not create the House of the Lamb to build a country where all races are equal. Chen said upon seeing this. Chen did not pity his aunt, as the sins she committed far exceeded those of the Carmelites. The level of evil is not comparable to that of the Carmelites. But it didn't stop him from telling the truth to his aunt. It's impossible. This is what the nun told me personally. Only someone as kind as a nun can have such a lofty dream. Although the rescue was separated by years, Auntie's memory of the Carmelites is very clear. Auntie will never forget every word Galmal 770 said. The Carmelite you respect is actually a lackey of the government, a human trafficker nicknamed Mountain Llama. Chen directly exposed the background of Carmelite. Carmel was previously a world-famous nun, and the opportunity for her to become famous was the giant pirates incident. The two captains of the giant pirates suddenly disappeared, and the remaining pirates were captured by Marine. When he was about to be executed, Carmelite appeared. She persuaded Marine to let these giants go, otherwise the giants would be angry. When the time comes, they will take crazy revenge on mankind, bringing only destruction. Marine agreed to the Carmelites' request and released these giants. In fact, this is just a double act between Marine and Carmel, and it has been set up a long time ago. From then on, the Carmelites established the Lamb's House and began to take in homeless children and sell the gifted ones to Marine. And the relationship with the giants is very friendly, and they have sent many giant soldiers. It can be said that the fact that there are giants in Marine now is entirely due to the Carmelites. The Carmelites regard Aunts as CHBA, the most perfect commodity. Advertisement. Marine has also evaluated Big Mom's potential and concluded that she is likely to grow into an Admiral-level Marine. I don't believe that such a gentle nun can't be a human trafficker. The aunt shook her head crazily, not wanting to believe it all. Lin, I had been hiding on Cake Island at that time, and I did see the close relationship between Carmel and Marine. What Admiral said is true. Bao Bao had already noticed this. He had been on the island during that time and saw what Carmelite and Marine were plotting. Lies, everything is a lie. Then why on earth did I build Wantong? The aunt was caught in the confusion, and all her hard work over the years turned out to be just a joke. She builds all nations and also means to wait for the return of Carmel. Thinking of this, the aunt suddenly laughed. That's right. The guy who deceived me has been eaten by me, so it's okay. The aunt suddenly patted her belly and laughed. Lu Chen frowned, originally thinking that the aunt had broken her guard. In the plot, Carmel is a very important person to Auntie. My aunt once fell into a state of madness because her Carmelite photos were smashed. Maybe he exerted too much force, which directly made Carmelite become unimportant in the aunt's heart. You are really a born monster. Lu Chen shook his head slightly. Being able to come out of the haze so quickly proves that feelings are not important in the aunt's heart. Otherwise, when facing the children who are closest to them, they will also show disgust and treat each other as trash. It's just a Carmelite, and it can be easily erased from memory. Admiral, stop using these useless tricks and fight me head on. Auntie has returned to normal. Zeus and Prometheus possessed her fist. The bicorn hat Napoleon on the head is floating around the ant. Be ready to hand yourself to Auntie for use at any time. This fighting state is no longer comparable to when he faced Katakuri before. Crocodile, retreat with everyone, and take Katakuri with you. Understood. Crocodile faced Lu Chen's order without any hesitation. 2 soldiers carried the fainted Katakuri away, and the remaining soldiers began to retreat in an orderly manner. The Big Mom pirates can only watch the opponent retreat. Advertisement. No one dared to attack his subordinates in front of Admiral. Step back, you losers, you are not needed in this battle. Auntie also said to everyone. She wasn't thinking about her family's safety. But I just dislike them for getting in the way and can't help it all here. Perospero and others retreated to a safe place as if they were receiving an amnesty. Brother, can Mom defeat Admiral? A younger sister asked. I don't know either. Perospero answered honestly. He doesn't know what his mother's trump card is, daring to face the heavenly punishment Admiral here. If Mom loses, how will we survive? Perospero smiled bitterly, saying that only the younger sister of this grade still didn't understand the family rules. Dare you say such words here? Once the aunt hears it, she will definitely be punished. Looking around, there are actually many people who have this idea. Perospero knew that among the brothers and sisters, some even expected their mother to lose to the heavenly punishment voice. This way they can escape from this place. No one wants to stay with their mother forever, everyone wants to go out on their own. It's just that Auntie used terror to control everyone, so they didn't dare to leave. Otherwise, there may not be many people who can really stay with Auntie. Don't say such things again, we can just wait. Perospero touched his sister's head. No matter what, Perospero cannot let his sister suffer revenge from his aunt in the future. Yeah, my sister nodded honestly. On the other hand, Lu Chen was also curious about how the aunt had the courage to stand in front of him. Just rely on these means. Take action, I'll give you a chance to take action first. Lu Chen was always floating in the air. Looking down at the ant below, she was like a god. Haha, over the years since Captain Rocks was defeated by you, I have understood the truth, Admiral. You will be my nightmare in this life. Chapter 194. The sole power of 100,000 people, please customize. Advertisement. Lu Chen was a little surprised when he heard Auntie's declaration. I didn't expect that she was much smarter than Kaido. Kaido was more angry with himself, causing him to get carried away. Thinking you can defeat yourself. But Auntie seemed different, she seemed to have been prepared a long time ago. The aunt who has always been arrogant and civilized is actually a thoughtful person. Just with his ability to build all nations, his resourcefulness far exceeds that of Kaido. Interesting, what have you prepared for this? I'd like to take a look. Lu Chen was very curious. If you didn't attack me right away, you will regret it. Admiral, Auntie laughed. At the same time, there was a clicking sound in the woods, and something was approaching. Soon these things revealed their true colors, they were cookie soldiers. A part of Big Mom's soul was instilled, and she was responsible for guarding the soldiers of all nations. They have also come from other islands a long time ago and have ambushed on Cake Island. At this time, I heard Auntie's call and came. The soul returns. Auntie took a deep breath. Countless biscuit soldiers fell to the ground one after another, and black objects floated out of their mouths. These are the souls that Auntie poured into them. Countless souls poured into Auntie's mouth and became a part of Auntie. Auntie's body also expanded, becoming at least 10 times larger than before. Already beyond the surrounding trees, everyone on Cake Island can see the huge ant. Is this the power of Mother? Perospero murmured to himself. This huge body is even bigger than Captain Kaido back then. Jin Yi said in surprise. Is Mom a giant? Some younger brothers and sisters who didn't know the truth shouted excitedly. On Marine's side, he was also shocked by the huge figure of the ant. Hey, your information didn't mention this. Crocodile muttered to himself. Of course he was referring to Katakuri, who was still in a coma. Advertisement. There's nothing we can do about it. Katakuri has been away from Big Mom for a long time after all. Besides, the so-called trump card is a special move that only he knows. Jinbei said next to him. That's right. Crocodile scratched his head. I suggest that we should retreat to the port immediately and gather on the warship first. Jinbei suggested. Crocodile is the vice admiral, and Jinbei is just a rear admiral now. So Jinbei still has to ask Crocodile for instructions. The teacher just told us to hold back, but he didn't say we would back down to this point. Crocodile smiled bitterly. Isn't it a bit too exaggerated to retreat directly to the warship? The situation is complicated now. Maybe the entire island will sink, and it will be too late to retreat by then. This is what Jinbei is worried about. Crocodile also reacted. With the teacher's ability, this might really be the case. Especially judging from the performance of teachers in the past, there are only a few places that have not suffered. Maybe someone in the Big Mom Pirates will take the opportunity to slip away, and let's destroy their pirate ship in advance. Crocodile has even given himself a reason. Basically all the cadres of the Big Mom Pirates are on the island, and they must have come by boat. The siege at sea had just failed, and they had no time to reach Cake Island by other means. Return to the warship, Crocodile ordered. As soon as they retreated halfway, they discovered that Momosuke had also brought many soldiers to support him. It turns out that Momosuke was also worried about this and came to support him specially. The two sides came together and finally returned to the warship together. They immediately split up and rushed towards the other two piers of Cake Island. Jinbei led the mermaids and swam towards one of them, while Crocodile and Momosuke led the rest. Both sides soon reached their target location. Those waiting here are relatively weak pirates, who are unable to resist the attacks of the mermaid tribe. He could only watch his pirate ship being overturned. The pirate ships that were attacked by warships were even worse. They were blocked in the port and could not get out. The pirates who stayed behind had no right to decide whether they could go to sea. They could only abandon the ship and escape. Watching his pirate ship turn into ashes in the cannon. Lu Chen is waiting patiently here. Finally, Big Mom absorbed the souls of all the cookie soldiers, as well as some items whose souls were attached to Big Mom. Advertisement. Except Zeus. Beyond Prometheus and Napoleon. Please give me flowers. 0. They appear even larger because of Big Mom's increased strength. All the remaining souls return to Big Mom's body. How's it going? Are you scared? I have a soul that weighs 100,000 people. The ant laughed ferociously. 100,000 people, it seems that you haven't absorbed many souls over the years, and there's nothing new in your move. Chin Miao shook his head. Big Mom's move is very similar to Gecko Moria's ultimate move, Shadow Gathering. However, after Yugon Moria absorbed the shadow, it became even larger, almost the same size as Oz. Moreover, Gecko Moria's ability to control shadows is very weak. 1,000 shadows almost made him lose consciousness. In the plot Summit War, Moria uses this trick again. Auntie's left fist hit Lu Chen, and the power of thunder and lightning was wrapped around the fist. Now Auntie has absorbed the soul power of 100,000 people, but she still looks calm and composed. Just be brave. No matter how powerful you are, you can't fight against 100,000 people. Auntie took a step forward. It means that she can perfectly control these powers. Being too dependent on others is Moria's weakness. It doesn't matter 100,000 people, it doesn't matter a million people. In front of my heavenly punishment, Admiral Lu Chen, they are just dust. Lu Chen scolded. This shows how much Auntie's power has increased. Doing so is provoking force. The huge size caused the surrounding ground to shake. Crackling, just seeing it makes people scared. Dust. Then give it a try. But he was easily defeated by Jinbei. The reason is that Shalia's own strength is not enough to control the power zone of these shadows. In the One Piece plot, the Whitebeard Pirates have the largest number of pirates, with a total of 1,600 people. Of course, no matter which big pirate it is impossible to have a team of 100,000 people, but I, Charlotte Linlin, have done this. I represent 100,000 people. Auntie roared. There's no one in the entire Grand Line who doesn't know they have the power of Thunder Fruit. As 100,000 people powerful, Lu Chen touched his nose. You're kidding me when you play with thunder and lightning in front of me. Lu Chen snorted coldly. With 100,000 people, it can already be called a country with a large population. Chapter 195, a replica of Laying. I'm really desperate, please customize. Advertisement. God's sanction. A bolt of lightning as thick as a bucket shot out from Lu Chen's wrist. While concentrating on Big Mom, a huge explosion was also caused. Auntie was directly knocked to the ground by the air wave caused by the explosion. But soon she climbed up as if nothing had happened, without any scars on her body. Taste this. Big Mom raised one hand above her head and Zeus flew into the air. A steady stream of soul power was injected into Zeus's body, turning it into a black thundercloud in the blink of an eye. Zeus's body is even more like a sphere, looking like ball lightning. Amazing currents are rolling inside, with a diameter of at least 3 kilometers. Lu Chen looked familiar at this move, wasn't it, Lei Ying? The move he used to destroy the Valley of Gods originally belonged to Enel. Auntie actually perfectly copied the 700 move, relying on the soul power of 100,000 people. How about it? I'm about to be defeated by my own moves. Auntie smiled proudly. The scene of destroying the Valley of Gods is something that Auntie will never forget. How could someone be so powerful? When the Charlotte family members on Cake Island saw this scene, they began to retreat and run away. Facing such a terrifying move, I'm afraid the entire island will be completely destroyed. They realized that if they continued to stay here, they would become victims of this war. Saving your own life first is the most important thing right now. As for the ants' anger, let's wait until the battle is over. However, when they arrived at the dock, they were shocked to find that the ships had been destroyed. The pirates guarding the ship were trembling, waiting for the coming punishment. But now no one wants to punish them. The cadres were thinking about how to avoid the cargo. Using this kind of trick in front of me only shows that you are too stupid. Lu Chen shook his head as he copied his own moves. Then come and experience it. Auntie waved her arms. The huge Zeus smashed down on Lu Chen with the power of thunder. It's like the whole sky is falling down. Because Zeus has a soul, this move is more powerful than Lu Chen's move to a certain extent. Zeus can rely on his fast movement ability to make the opponent unable to escape. The ant already showed a victorious smile. She didn't think Lu Chen could block this move. Advertisement. Lu Chen did not move, looking up at Zeus falling from above his head. He just held out a hand and snapped his fingers. Zeus' size began to shrink rapidly, and he disappeared after a few seconds. There is only a black ball left, which is the soul injected into Zeus. A small thunder ball appeared between Lu Chen's fingers and bounced out. Directly hitting the soul, a black smoke appeared and was completely wiped out. What did you do? Where is my Zeus? Auntie's eyes widened. The ability of the soul fruit can inject soul into an object so that the other party can gain life. You injected a lot of souls into the thunder clouds to get Zeus, but no matter how powerful Zeus is, it is still just a thunder cloud. Lu Chen lightly said. With the ability of thunder fruit, he can easily change the electromagnetic field. He just caused the electromagnetic field in Zeus's body to disappear. Zeus naturally turned into an ordinary cloud and dissipated, leaving a place where his soul had no attachment, floating alone in the sky. Damn it, damn it. The ant roared. Such a powerful move has no effect. She was even easily resolved by the other party, which made the ant even more angry. Show your true skills. This kind of trick is useless. Lu Chen shook his head. The strength of Big Mom lies in the bonus of armament hockey and soul fruit. To put it bluntly, Zeus and Prometheus are just toys. The ant also realized this, she was wrapped in pitch black. Like a steel balloon, it rushed directly towards Lu Chen. That's right. Lu Chen also greeted him. Boom. The fists of both sides touched together. What's more, the collision of hockey caused an air wave that completely flattened several kilometers around it. Dong dong I dong. The two sides did not stop, and their fists were like a violent storm. Dust rose into the sky, and the earth trembled. Auntie couldn't believe why she couldn't suppress Lu Chen. Obviously he has the soul power of 100,000 people. Ah, Auntie roared again. Fists are faster. Although Zeus is gone, Prometheus still exists. It is directly attached to Auntie's fist, and every blow is burning with flames. And Lu Chen has changed the way he fights. Advertisement. 6 Styles 8 King Gun. Rubbing 8 trigrams 64 palms. Chow Peacock. 6 King Gun. Coupled with the mobility brought by Thunder Fruit, Lu Chen was able to freely perform moves against Big Mom in the blink of an eye. And each hit has emission hockey attached to it. Emission hockey is the name of Wanokuni, which is actually a type of armament hockey. The strength of Big Mom's armament hockey lies in its defensive ability. Normal damage can't break her hockey at all. But this time Lu Chen's attack. There were many scars on Ma's body. Her armament hockey shell was broken. What is most unacceptable to the ant is that her body size has become smaller. While she was injured, the soul in her body also floated out of her body. Soul, my soul. Auntie also wanted to inhale these souls into her body again. However, Lu Chen didn't give Ant this chance at all, and directly destroyed all these spiritual cards. The soul extracted by the ant is equal to the lifespan of the other party. The power is dozens of times greater than before. At the same time, the ant's whole expression became crazy. Lu Chen raised the flying altitude, causing Auntie to lose her target. But Auntie had already identified the target and pursued her with her fist again. Since he has the ability to burn his life and gain strength. Spit out all these souls, and you will avoid suffering. Lu Chen said. Just wipe them all out to avoid being used by Big Mom again. The ant clenched her fists, and a stream of black smoke came out of her body. You are burning these souls. Lu Chen suddenly understood. She had fallen into a coma, but her body did not fall down. She relied on instinct to fight. A lightning-fast punch was struck at Lu Chen. But who knows where these souls come from and whether their owners are still alive. Hey, you passed towards your own people. But this power is no longer something that Auntie can bear. After stuffing it back again, the lifespan can be restored. Of course there are ways to burn souls to gain power. Wishful thinking. I will never lose. 3.3. Lu Chen dodged and dodged. It would be irrational to fight forcefully at this time. Chapter 196. Cutting through all nations with one sword, please customize. Advertisement. Auntie turned her head and headed towards the Charlotte family members in the distance. Pelopelrose and others were immediately frightened out of their wits. They know all too well the power of Big Mom when she is angry. Especially now that Auntie has absorbed so many souls, she is in a very powerful state. It was already like a steel chariot, crushing towards them. Run, help, run. Suddenly everyone showed their magical powers and scattered in all directions. No one wants to be the victim of Auntie's wrath. Only one person stood up and blocked Auntie's path, and it was Bao Bao. Lin, look at this delicious cake and wake up. I saw Longbread waving the long sword in his hand and slashing at a giant piece next to him. A large piece of the giant was cut off and turned into a huge cake. It is more than 10 meters wide, all covered with cream and dotted with fruits such as strawberries. It looks quite tempting. According to previous experience, the ant will definitely wake up after seeing the cake. Because the ant becomes 27 and irrational, it is usually due to anorexia. But this time is different. Auntie became crazy because of burning her soul. He crushed the cake with one foot and ran towards the long bread. Why doesn't it work? Bao Bao was shocked. Facing the fierce ant, he had no ability to resist. Kicked away with one kick. He flew dozens of meters away heavily and fell to the ground unconscious. The ant did not let her old friend go, but continued to lift her legs towards the loaf of bread. It looked like he was planning to trample the baguette to death. Mom, please calm down. A man stood in front of the baguette. But the next second, he was crushed by himself and turned into a pile of scum. However, no one around him screamed, and instead took the opportunity to rescue Bao Bao. These family members still have feelings and don't want to see other people die. So some people ran back. The person who was trampled just now was Charlotte Cracker, the 10th son of the Charlotte family. He is also the Minister of Biscuits, a person with the ability of biscuit fruit, and one of the 3 dessert generals. Advertisement. What stood in front of Auntie just now was just a cookie shell made by Cracker. He usually uses this shell to show off to others, and even the wanted poster looks like a shell. Only family members know his true identity. However, the ant showed no reaction and even looked at Cracker's body. He punched it. Cracker soldier. Cracker activates the fruit ability. Instantly a large number of biscuit-making soldiers appeared in front of him. In the plot, these soldiers can only be destroyed when Luffy turns on the 4th gear. And it can be restored instantly, which is very difficult to deal with. Unfortunately, because Big Mom has absorbed all the souls, these soldiers cannot inject souls and can only be used as shields. But even if they can move, they don't dare to fight against Big Mom. Click, click, click. The walls made of biscuit soldiers were easily broken by the ant. Even because there was a flame on the fist, the crushed biscuits could not be recovered and were all burned to ashes. Cracker tried his best to dodge but was hit by a punch, and blood spurted out. When people around her saw this, they also used various methods to stop Auntie. But without exception they all failed. Their attacks can't even hurt Big Mom. Instead, because they wanted to stop them, they were all beaten by the ant. Admiral, please help us. Someone finally asked Lu Chen for help. Lu Chen floated silently in the air, unmoved. Admiral, we surrender. Yeah, save me and us. More and more people began to beg for mercy, and some even knelt on the ground. Many of them are also famous pirates. Nowadays, he does not hesitate to abandon his dignity, but more for his family. Without a ship, no one with abilities can leave this island. If you continue to let Auntie continue to destroy things, the entire Charlotte family will be destroyed here. Okay, for the sake of you all being members of the Katakuri family. Lu Chen nodded. The thunder sword appeared in his hand. Taking a deep breath, he suddenly swung the knife and put it away. The whole process took less than a second. Seeing this, everyone in the Charlotte family subconsciously thought of a trick. I heard that it was the II// that the Wano-kuni samurai loved to use most. Moves with unique speed and power. Advertisement. If it were someone else using it, I'm afraid it would be regarded as a joke. But the person in front of me is the Admiral, Path. It is said that the way of swordsmanship has reached perfection and he is known as the best in the world. Mother. Some people have already begun to cry. They all thought their mother had been tricked. It could fall apart the next second. However, the ant was still alive and kicking without any sign of being hurt. Could it be said that the heavenly punishment Admiral failed? Are simply not prepared to take action and just playing tricks on them? Some people are already desperate. Are they going to die here? At this moment, everyone suddenly felt their feet begin to vibrate. A huge chasm suddenly appeared in the middle of Cake Island, and seawater gushes wildly from the crack below. The entire Cake Island was cut into 2 by Lu Chen with one knife. Auntie was right in the middle of the crack and fell directly into the seawater. No matter how powerful it is, it can't resist the side effects of the evil 730 demon fruit. The whole person fainted directly. Some pirates without detailed information may indeed get away with it. At this time, someone used the fruit's ability to fish out the ant. With the Admiral in the sky, no one has the thought of resisting. Surrender is the only way to survive. For example, in the plot, Buggy successfully concealed his identity as an Esper in Impel Down. All were placed in seastone handcuffs. However, the number of marine seastones is limited, so you can only use them with care. There have been many incidents in Marine where people hid their identities as ability users and escaped. Was not taken to seastone, thus planning the jailbreak. Crocodile also saw the battle on the shore and ordered the marine soldiers to attack. Not to mention the hands, even the feet must wear shackles made from Hailu Town. But Lu Chen's subordinate Marine has no such concerns. Without Auntie's control, these souls also flew away. But because the loss was too serious just now, my mother was still in a coma. The absorbed souls also floated in the air one after another. Find your own master. They all knew they couldn't run away. The reason for this episode is not actually Marine's lack of vigilance. Seeing Marine surrounding them, the members of the Charlotte family all raised their hands and surrendered. Chapter 197. A scene that shocked everyone. Please customize. Advertisement. The Sea of All Nations. At this time, another group of fleets appeared in this sea area. Standing on the deck and looking into the distance is the popular man in Marine today. Akainu, who was just promoted to Admiral. When he joined Marine, he was called a monster. With the lava fruit, he also looked very irritable. Because he is too obsessed with justice, he does not hesitate to reject evil. This kind of indifferent behavior made his subordinates also fear him. However, some people say that Akainu has some shadows of the god of punishment Admiral. It's a pity that no matter from the strength or merits of both sides, there is no room for comparison between the two. Admiral, the wreckage of 2 pirate ships was found ahead. A soldier came to report. Did a warship sink it? Akainu asked. After inspection, there are no scars on it. Maybe it was bad luck and encountered the Poseidon beast. The soldier said. Hearing this, Akainu smiled slightly. Needless to say, Wano-kuni distribution Marine must have done it, otherwise there would be no such coincidence on the Grand Line. It seems that the voyage of Admiral and the others went smoothly. They did not encounter any trouble in this sea area. Before, I thought they would definitely be damaged if they encountered an ambush. The Deputy General next to him breathed a sigh of relief. After all, this is Auntie's territory. Haha, if you haven't seen the Heavenly Punishment Admiral, you won't understand. No one in this world is his opponent, and it is impossible for a mere ant to hurt the Heavenly Punishment Admiral. Akainu looked admiring. If that's the case, then why do we still come here? The Deputy General became more and more confused. Not long after the news of Wano-kuni's attack on all nations came, Akainu received the order from Sora, who was already the commander-in-chief of the 3 armed forces. Let them come to support the Heavenly Punishment Admiral and jointly encircle and suppress Auntie. Although we were sailing fast along the way, we were still a step too slow. It's very simple, that is, our Marine cannot accept any risk. Once the Punishment Admiral fails, Marine will be disgraced. Akainu said slowly. For example, Admiral is known as invincible in Marine. It's every pirate's nightmare. If Admiral fails, it will be a devastating blow to Marine's reputation. It will make young Marines lose confidence. Those evil pirates will become even more rampant. So even though almost everyone believed that Admiral would win, Marine still had to send more manpower. Advertisement. Because the price is too serious. In comparison, the cost of asking Akainu to make a trip in person is very low. That's it. The Deputy General nodded, understanding. If he thought about it carefully, he couldn't accept the news that Admiral would fail. What's more, for those recruits who have little experience, Admiral is the totem in their hearts, the embodiment of justice. There was silence for a while. Almost there, Akainu said suddenly, looking ahead. Sure enough, an island appeared in their field of vision. According to the direction of the permanent pointer, this was Cake Island. There's something wrong. This is a separate island. That's not the case in the intelligence. The Deputy General was stunned when he looked at the scene ahead. According to intelligence, Cake Island is Auntie's main stronghold. There is a palace built by Auntie here, where the entire family can live. There are also many biscuit soldiers or items that have been infused with Auntie's soul, all because of Auntie's spy. Marine spent a lot of effort to obtain this information. But it was not mentioned that the Cake Island is separate, which is unreasonable. No one would miss such important information. Perhaps, someone separated this island. Akainu said in a deep voice. Separate the islands. How is this possible? The adjutant shook his head, not believing that this was possible. But then the adjutant remembered that there was indeed someone who could do this. Although that guy is a Paramesha fruit user, his strength is stronger than the average Logia. Known as Whitebeard. Unless it's that guy Whitebeard, could it be that Whitebeard and Big Mom have joined forces? We haven't obtained any information about this. It seems that our support is correct. Commander Kong is so wise. Shock fruit has the power to destroy an island. The Deputy General suddenly became excited. Originally they thought they came here just to make soy sauce. Now that I have something to do, I am naturally excited. Being able to participate in big events is every Marine's dream. It makes sense. Listen to my order and prepare to enter combat status and land. Akainu also accepted the opinions of his subordinates. The island was separated, most likely by Whitebeard. Advertisement. The Admiral certainly didn't need their rescue. But those ordinary Marine soldiers definitely need help. Do we need to request assistance? The Deputy General asked. Whitebeard and Big Mom join forces, which is also news that makes Marine nervous. Quote. No need, it's enough for me to come. There is no one stronger than me in Marine. Akainu showed his confidence. Of course, he then added. Except for the Admiral. The Deputy General was infected by Akainu's confidence and became full of confidence. After Zephyr Admiral and Garp Admiral retired, Air Marshal was promoted to Commander-in-Chief. Akainu is indeed a Marine second only to the Admiral. Of course, many people also think that the other Aokiji admiral is also very powerful. Momosuke stood on the deck of the warship, Lee's, and shouted loudly. But Akainu didn't pay attention at all, he was going to fight. Didn't Whitebeard join forces with Big Mom? What happened to Cake Island? Why did it become two halves? The deputy general was even more confused. Soon the ship also docked nearby, and Akainu and many people rushed down first. Momosuke understood, and it turned out that the other party misunderstood that Whitebeard had taken action. What? God punishes Admiral and cuts it off with one knife. Everyone in the Charlotte family has been imprisoned in the warship. We are Akainu Admiral's subordinates, and we have come here specifically to provide support. The deputy admiral stayed on the ship to copy the information. Which branch are you from? It's just that neither side has ever seriously competed once, so no one knows the answer. What Whitebeard? Whitebeard is here. Momosuke looked around, but did not see the Whitebeard pirate ship. This island was cut off by the admiral. Momosuke was not surprised at all. The deputy general suddenly fell to the ground. Oh, the battle is over. Momosuke smiled. Is it over? Have Whitebeard and Big Mom been caught? The deputy general was stunned. It is said that the two have not even spoken a few times. Report. There is a dock ahead but it has been destroyed. But we saw a warship docked on the shore. The soldier reported again. Stop. Get ready for support. The lieutenant ordered. Chapter 198. This is mine, is there any problem? Please customize. Advertisement. On the other side, Akainu led the soldiers to disembark, and sure enough, traces of the battle were quickly discovered. It can almost be described as a level of destruction. It's like there is a huge one, and various moves are performed here. This further confirmed Akainu's idea that he is needed here. But before Akainu could find the battlefield, the deputy general was already chasing him. Tell Akainu the battle is over. It's over. Akainu was a little stunned. Big Mom and Whitebeard teamed up and were defeated so easily. Although they did not catch up with the admiral's ship, they were only less than 6 hours behind. It is unimaginable that the battle can be resolved in such a short time. Without Whitebeard, this island would have been cut off by the god of punishment with one strike. Lieutenant General Shikai explained all the information he had just obtained from Momosuke. All members of the Big Mom Pirates have been imprisoned, including Big Mom herself. Heavenly Punishment Admiral went to the palace built by Auntie and searched inside. As for why Momosuke was the only one on the warship, it was because she had to guard the prisoners. Crocodile has already led other warships to report to other islands. Let the remaining pirate remnants commit weapons and surrender. Although the cadres of the Big Mom Pirates came to participate in this battle, 633 still left some of his men to guard the island. Prevent residents on the island from taking the opportunity to escape from the island. Every 6 months, they have to sacrifice their souls to the ant for a month. Even if they can get a stable and happy life, some people will still be unhappy. Especially those who want to leave the island for adventure are not willing to be kept in captivity. However, although Auntie claims that anyone who wants to leave can leave freely. But according to what Perospero said in the plot, no one can leave the island alive. Before that, you have to accept the death wheel, and those on it are either dead or seriously injured. No one can go to sea after experiencing it. Let's go find the Admiral, Akainu said. Auntie's palace is easy to find, right in the middle of Cake Island. Advertisement. Fortunately, Lu Chen's knife did not damage the building. It can also be said that Lu Chen did it intentionally. When Akainu arrived, he saw a large marine carrying items outside. They are boxes of gold and jewelry, Ant's trophies over the years. In addition to these, Akainu even saw a few devil fruits. Auntie has many people with abilities, and devil fruit is no longer a rare item for them. I've seen the Heavenly Punishment Admiral. Akainu took the initiative to hand over Lu Chen. Although everyone has the same position, their status in Marine are completely different. Are you here? The order from the 5 elders is still empty. Lu Chen was also quite surprised to see Akainu. But when I thought about it again, I realized that this was an order from the top. After all, the news of his attack on all nations has spread throughout the world. Once it fails, the top management will not look good. Ahem, it's Kongtong's, Zhigu said with a dry cough. Since Commander Kong didn't ask him to keep it a secret, he might as well say it directly. At this time Akainu noticed Katakuri standing next to Lu Chen. How are you? Are you seriously injured? Akainu asked. Katakuri has been awake for some time, but he can barely move and has temporarily lost his combat effectiveness. Akainu can still appreciate Katakuri, because he is also a person who pursues justice. Especially this time when attacking Big Mom, Katakuri can also fight with her. It even made Akainu look at Katakuri with admiration. It's nothing serious, Katakuri said calmly. That's good. The ability to seize so many supplies must be due to your contribution. Akainu said with emotion. The cunning rabbit has 3 caves. A pirate of Big Mom's level must have more than one treasure house to store treasures. Even if you are arrested or have an accident, you will not lose all your property. Katakuri must have helped a lot to find them all, chbb. But Katakuri didn't want to talk about this topic. Such a large amount of money can also repair the spiritual damage caused by the residents of Wangguo. Akainu then added. Advertisement. Generally speaking, after Marine seizes items, they will return them to the owner. This is based on Marine's philosophy of justice. Marine's military expenditures come from world government allocations, and world government money comes from taxes paid by various countries. As for those whose owners cannot be found, they are usually given to soldiers and civilians who have been persecuted by pirates. Auntie has ruled all nations for a long time, and many of these treasures are taxes from the residents of all nations. Akainu, have you misunderstood something? These are my military expenses. Chen said calmly. God's punishment, Admiral, are you going to keep this money for yourself? Akainu's eyes widened suddenly, with a look of disbelief on his face. He never thought that the heavenly punishment Admiral would be such a person. Only the most despicable Marines with the least moral bottom line would do such a thing. In this way, he will stop Admiral even if it is a divine punishment. Even if he can't defeat Chen, Akainu will still report this matter and will never tolerate it. Haha, you are mistaken about one thing. These are not stolen goods, but donations. Chen shook his head and said. Donation. Akainu was confused. Where do donations come from? Just now, Katakuri has contributed all his family's property to our Wano-kuni Marine branch to use as military expenses. I also plan to report credit to him for this matter. Chen smiled. But aren't these the treasures of the Big Mom Pirates? They don't exactly belong to Katakuri. Akainu did not give up asking, he was keenly aware of the problems inside. Even though Katakuri is a member of the Charlotte family and has the right to inherit the property. It is impossible to have so many, at most we can only handle part of them. Mom, they had completed the division of property before they were arrested, such as palaces, pirate ships, guns and artillery, etc. These all belong to them, and what I inherited are these jewels, gold nuggets, and some weird things. You won't stop me from donating to Marine. This is my right, and the rest will be distributed to the residents of all countries. Katakuri spoke. This was also the reason why the family members were asked to agree when they were arrested. After all, they already know their fate, and these gold and silver have no effect. Okay, I didn't understand the situation. I apologize to you. Akainu could only lower his head. In real terms, pirate ships, weapons, etc. are more valuable. What are you going to do next? Return to Marine headquarters? Lu asked. Yes, I want to go back and report on this operation. Akainu nodded. Chapter 199, Charlotte family please customize. Advertisement. In that case, you should return to the Marine headquarters with Katakuri to guard the members of the Charlotte family. Chen's tone was unquestionable, like an order. Akainu hesitated for a moment, he wanted to say that he wanted to ask Commander Kong for instructions. He and Chen are on the same level, although the other party's reputation is far higher than that of him and he is a senior. Theoretically, you don't have to obey Chen's orders. Where are you going? Akainu asked. I want to return to Wano-kuni. There is no need for Chen to go to the Marine headquarters. Now he is different from ordinary Marines and does not need to be under jurisdiction. I need to ask Commander Kong for instructions on this matter. Akainu finally decided to follow the rules. Chen frowned and looked at Akainu. Akainu, who thinks he is fearless, can't help but feel inspired. Are you going to anger Chen? But Akainu was a little unwilling to let him just obey Chen's orders. Could it be so? Akainu looked at Katakuri, and the answer appeared in his head. Although Katakuri is a member of Marine, he is absolutely loyal to Marine. And it has been proved by facts. However, he is a member of the Charlotte family after all, so if he feels sympathy on the road. Or it is not impossible to see a certain family member pitiful and let him go secretly. Divine punishment Admiral must have a more profound idea to prevent Katakuri from taking the wrong path. So if you ask yourself to come and escort him together, it must be like this. Okay, I'll go back to the Marine headquarters with Katakuri. Akainu agreed, and secretly glanced at Katakuri. That's pretty much it. Chen nodded. No matter why Akainu changed his mind, he just had to obey his orders. Next, Chen returned to Wano-kuni with Momoshiki Jinbei and others, as well as the treasures seized from all nations. Katakuri and Crocodile took over the task of guarding the prisoners and followed Akainu to the Marine headquarters. Akainu questioned being on the warship with prisoners, and Katakuri and Crocodile were helpless. Although Akainu is an admiral, their identity is vice admiral. Katakuri also guessed what Akainu was thinking, which was that he was afraid of himself. He believed that he had a clear conscience, and he tried his best in this battle. Advertisement. He has perfectly fulfilled the justice in his heart. This guy Akainu has a stinky face, no wonder his subordinates are afraid of him. Crocodile pointed at Akainu not far away and said. The distance was only more than 30 meters, but Crocodile was not worried about the other party hearing him at all. This is the freedom of Akainu Admiral. Katakuri said slowly. Katakuri had no interest in speaking ill of people behind their backs. And Katakuri knew very well that Crocodile was here to stabilize him. After all, it's uncomfortable to feel suspected. Not to mention that Katakuri has paid so much, and Wano-kuni's soldiers can see it. They all admire Katakuri very much. Being able to face the ant until the last second is not something everyone can do. How is your injury? Crocodile changed the question. Much better, able to fight. Crocodile rolled his eyes, not believing it at all. Katakuri's body is still wrapped in bandages, and the wounds have not healed yet. According to the military doctor, it was a miracle that he could wake up so quickly. Being able to fight right away is a joke. You'd better lie down and rest, there's no need for you to fight now. Crocodile complained. But Katakuri was unmoved. He clearly remembered his order, which was to escort the family members back to Marine headquarters. Before Lu Chen's order was completed, Katakuri thought he had the right to rest. Even if Akainu is here, he will never let down his guard. This is my duty as a Marine. Vice Admiral, Auntie woke up and said she wanted to see you. At this time, a soldier came out of the cabin and shouted. Oh, Katakuri raised an eyebrow. It took less than a day to wake up, and she was worthy of being a mother. According to Lu Chen, her mother's injuries were serious. Although he did not suffer a direct fatal blow from Lu Chen, he continued to suffer minor injuries from before. In addition to burning all the souls in the body, this is an action that is enough to shorten the lifespan. Let's go, I want to meet Auntie too. Wei Yan walked over and said. If she hadn't been defeated by Lu Chen this time, Big Mom would definitely have become an even more legendary pirate. Please give me flowers. Advertisement. Akainu was convinced of this. Crocodile was a little embarrassed. It turned out that Akainu had heard everything he said. He thought it was windy on the boat, so he didn't have so many worries. You don't trust me, Katakuri said. Katakuri doesn't mind Akainu watching over him. But he didn't want Akainu to follow him wherever he went. No, I just don't want you to take the wrong path, and I really want to see Auntie. Akainu didn't hide anything when he spoke. To be precise, there is no need to hide it. Okay, Katakuri nodded. The other party has mentioned this, and he has nothing to say. 0. Then the three people came to the cabin, where Marine lived and stored supplies. However, this ship is quite special. All the places where supplies are stored have been changed to Blue Army. There are nearly 100 people in the Charlotte family, all of whom are imprisoned here. For being able to capture so many family members with his own hands, outsiders would probably describe Katakuri as cold-blooded. Why are we locked up, Vice Katakuri? There are also some brothers and sisters that I have never even met, they are all brothers and sisters who were born after they decided. Everyone is wearing seastone handcuffs and sitting in a cell. Although they were young, they were also arrested. Katakuri, traitor. Without exception, Katakuri was very affectionate towards them. Let us out. Some of them are very familiar to him, having grown up with them. Based on this alone, many people cannot make a knife. When they saw Katakuri, they were also emotional. Seeing this scene, Akainu was also unmoved. After all, the Big Mom pirates have committed too many crimes, and the relevant personnel must be arrested. Some of them have only been met once or twice, and they were still young when I left home. They will be released only after Marine headquarters determines that no crime has been committed. However, those wanted with bounties on their heads will be imprisoned in Impel Down no matter what. Especially being able to look at the eyes of all family members here instead of avoiding them. Katakuri walked very slowly, looking at every member of his family. Chapter 200. Marine's victory that shocked the world. Please customize. Advertisement. Akainu realized one thing, that is, he and Katakuri should be the same kind of people. For the sake of firm justice in the heart, many things can be abandoned. This is not cold-blooded, but righteous. It can only prove that in their hearts, they have beliefs that are more important than family members. The second son has an immeasurable future. He is worthy of being a disciple of the heavenly punishment Admiral. I captured you as a Marine, and as pirates you should have had this awareness a long time ago. Even if you are not caught by me, you will be caught by other Marines in the future. Katakuri said in a deep voice. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the Charlotte family fell silent. They realized that Katakuri's words were not wrong at all. What really made them unable to capture him was the terrifying Admiral. No one fears Katakuri. Don't worry, Katakuri, the 780 will not abandon my family. Katakuri added. This sentence confused everyone, especially Akainu, who once again fell into doubt. Because Katakuri's words were too much like a declaration to save his family. But judging from Katakuri's actions, Akainu has already judged that this is a qualified Marine. Members of the Charlotte family felt that there was something wrong with Katakuri's head. They have been arrested, and they still say they will not abandon them. Is it possible that everyone goes to jail in Impel Down together? Only Crocodile already has the answer in his heart. He has already learned one thing from Lu Chen, that is, after Lu Chen is promoted to Marine Marshal. Let Katakuri guard Impel Down and become the warden. And he will also be appointed there, become the deputy warden, and continue to practice with Katakuri. Katakuri continued to walk forward and soon came to the end of the cell. This cell is much larger than the previous one, covering a full 50 square meters. Of course it is specially made for aunts. At this time, the aunt was wearing prison uniform, and her whole body had been tied up with shackles made of seastone. Even if she is as powerful as Aunt Wrong, she cannot withstand the weakening of seastone on those with abilities. Advertisement. My whole body was so weak that I could hardly even clench my fists. Even if she falls into a state of madness, there is no threat to her anymore. But the current aunt shows no cowardice at all. Instead, there was a smile on his face. Katakuri, you must be very proud now. Not at all. Katakuri shook his head. During his journey to conquer all nations, he rarely smiled. It is even more impossible to talk about being proud. I originally thought you were my most proud work, but now you are no longer. Even better works have appeared. Auntie smiled even more arrogantly. You mean Jin. Of course Katakuri understood what Big Mom was referring to. Not everyone in the conquest of the Big Mom Pirates was captured. There is also a fish that slipped through the net and that is Jin. Jin disappeared as soon as Lu Chen appeared. With a pair of wings, no one knows where Jin fled to. Having experienced Lu Chen's strength with Kaido before, Jin had no intention of resisting from the beginning. It's just that because of Auntie, Jin can't leave directly. Yes, Jin and I's offspring is the most perfect, he will be a born king and will become the pirate king. Auntie has placed all her hopes on herself and Zin's offspring. Originally, Katakuri was the one who had such expectations. But Katakuri betrayed him. This time Auntie wanted to see Katakuri, just to let Katakuri know. Now in my heart, Katakuri is just garbage. Mom, what does this have to do with me? First I'm a marine and my duty is to hunt down criminals. If this brother appears in front of me as a pirate in the future, I will show no mercy. Katakuri sighed. The dignified aunt was reduced to verbal threats. Or something that will only happen in the future. Haha, Katakuri, you left my side very early, so you know too few things, my stupid son. The aunt was still smiling. Katakuri remained silent, he had no intention of arguing with his aunt. After all, the other person is also his mother. Now that he has become a criminal because of his desperation, there is no need for Katakuri to add fuel to the fire. But I didn't expect that this would be the most insulting move for the aunt. When had I ever suffered such disregard? Advertisement. I am the dignified master of Wangwo Island. Next, the aunt yelled at Katakuri, using almost any unpleasant word. Until the aunt started panting and exhausted. Bring the cake up. Seeing that the aunt stopped talking, Katakuri said to the soldiers beside him. When leaving Cake Island, Katakuri brought a lot of cakes and desserts. These are all prepared for aunties. When the delicious cakes were placed in front of her one after another, the aunt tried to protest with a hunger strike. But soon I couldn't help it anymore and started eating in big mouthfuls. Katakuri left after seeing this. As expected of a great pirate, if Admiral had not been punished by heaven and conquered all nations, he would not have been easily caught. Akainu said with emotion when he came to the deck. Auntie is very powerful. Crocodile also nodded. Only Katakuri remained silent. At this time, both Akainu and Crocodile knew that it was not the right time to disturb Katakuri. At the same time, news of the demise of the Big Mom Pirates has spread throughout the world. Shocked, Auntie was defeated, family members were arrested one after another, and the key factor turned out to be him. The big event finally came to an end, and he turned out to be the one who had the last laugh. God's punishment. Admiral Kamui, Cake Island is divided into two, the power to destroy the world. Marine's great victory, pirates will not be allowed to run rampant in the new world. 3.4 newspapers and media outlets have all produced very attractive headlines, especially those with many misleading headlines. But no matter which newspaper, there is praise for Admiral. What about the god of marine, the protector of the nation, etc.? Many people have begun to question why Lu Chen has not been appointed Marine Marshal. Except for Lu Chen, no one can sit in this position. And only if Lu Chen secures this position can ordinary people feel at ease. With Lu Chen guarding the sea, they no longer have to worry about brutal pirates. 5 elders got the results of the war right away. Lu Chen's victory was a very complete victory. The entire Big Mom Pirates were captured, with only a few crew members escaping. Even the Cake Island is cut open. Chapter 201. The birth of the strongest marshal in marine history. Please customize. Advertisement. Everyone, there is no need to wait any longer. Yes, it is a matter of course to appoint Lu Chen as Marine Marshal. It can even be said that if Lu Chen is not appointed, many Marines may be dissatisfied. But our previous agreement with Lu Chen, I'm afraid he won't leave Wano Kuni easily. The 5 elders fell into silence. This was also a concern they had before, and it might not be easy to convince Lu Chen. The other party is someone who has repeatedly refused to be appointed to the admiral position. After Wano Kuni's conditions were put forward, the other party agreed. But now, it has become inappropriate not to appoint Lu Chen. The 5 elders became the ones stuck in the conundrum. How about moving the marine headquarters to Wano Kuni? As soon as this proposal came out, the remaining 4 people shook their heads. It's crazy, and it's not possible to give Lu Chen such high treatment. Besides this method, tell me what to do. After pondering for a long time, several people finally gave a wry smile. It seems that apart from this method 27, they can't think of any other method. Negotiating with Lu Chen is like surrendering to him. Additional conditions must be imposed, and it is uncertain whether the world government can bear those conditions. Actually, it seems good to move the marine headquarters to Wano Kuni. Now that the age of navigation has arrived, the new world will become increasingly chaotic. Wano Kuni is in the second half of the new world. Better able to deal with the crisis caused by pirates. Moreover, Wano Kuni is easy to defend and difficult to attack, so you will definitely not worry about being attacked by pirates. Lu Chen will definitely be grateful to us, and we don't need to beg him. The 5 elders all smiled. Moving the marine headquarters to Wano Kuni sounds like a crazy plan. But if you think about it carefully, there are many benefits behind it. It is the only way after weighing the pros and cons. Keep Sengoku as deputy marshal, still stationed at Marineford, someone we can call upon at any time. Yes, in this way we only need to give more funds to the new marine headquarters. We don't even need to move the marine headquarters, we just need to change its name. Advertisement. Then prepare to issue orders. A new marine marshal will be born, and he will most likely be the strongest marshal in history. The order from the 5 elders was quickly conveyed to the entire marine. The world is shaken again. They had already prepared for Lu Chen's appointment as Marine Marshal. But Marine headquarters moved to Wano Kuni. This is news that no one expected. According to the explanation released by Marine, pirates in the New World are becoming more and more rampant, and it is necessary to concentrate their efforts on combating them. This reason is indeed valid. But people like to dig out the things hidden behind the scenes, and this case is no exception. Unfortunately, no one can find out the real reason. A certain icy sea in North Blue. It's already snowing here, and it's very cold on the sea. A merchant ship floats on the sea, but it is actually filled with members of the Revolutionary Army. Merchant ships were nothing more than revolutionaries in disguise. The men immediately told their leader, Long. Long took the letter, but did not open it immediately. Instead, he placed it on the table in front of him. The two people sitting next to the dragon are Bartholomew Bear and Ivankov. This is now Long's right-hand man and his most important helper. Let's guess what's in this news. Long smiled slightly. In this long and boring voyage, it can be considered a good pastime. Big Bear nodded expressionlessly. Ivankov burst out laughing. What's there to guess? Your uncle must have become Marine Marshal. After all, he defeated Big Mom again this time. If you don't promote your uncle, there will be chaos within Marine. Ivankov really wanted to see this scene. It's a pity that he clearly knows how skilled the five elders are in the application of tactics. We will never see this situation arise. Haha, that's true. Apart from this information, no other major events will happen. Long couldn't help but shake his head. Advertisement. Questions with answers that are too obvious are meaningless. Long opened the information. Sure enough, after defeating Big Mom, the five elders had to immediately declare you as a Marine Master. Ivankov and Big Bear both looked like they were taking things for granted. But you wouldn't have thought that there is another big news. Long looked at his two companions with a mysterious face. Speak quickly, we can't guess it. Ivankov urged. The Marine headquarters has been moved to Wano Kuni. The original Marine headquarters is now an ordinary Marine base, managed by Sengoku, who by the way is the Deputy Marshal. Ivankov and Big Bear finally showed surprised expressions on their faces. None of them could have imagined that Marine would change so drastically. He immediately set his sights on New World. Especially since Lu Chen was given so much power, the Marine headquarters was moved there. Your uncle is so powerful that he can be used so highly by the five elders. Ivankov said with emotion. But he didn't expect Long to smile disdainfully. You are so naive. To put it bluntly, the location of the Marine headquarters has a resounding reputation. Sengoku served as deputy marshal but was not sent to the country of 927, but stayed in the Holy Land, which shows that they still do not trust my uncle. Quote. This doesn't make sense. If you don't trust him, you would appoint Marshal Marine. The five elders wouldn't be so stupid. Ivankov doesn't agree with the key to dragons. Even Ivankov knows that if you don't trust a person, then don't entrust them with important tasks. Not to mention someone in a position like Marshal Marine. To be precise, it's limited trust. Da Shang interjected. That's right, it's limited trust. Big Bear described it very well. Long nodded. When Ivankov heard this word, he finally understood. In other words, the five elders trust Admiral, but they don't trust him completely, so they emptied some of his power. Interesting. Will your uncle be dissatisfied with the five elders because of this? Can we use this factor to start from within Marine? Big Bear held his chin and thought in thought. Long immediately shuddered, taking advantage of his uncle. He doesn't have the guts yet. And once his uncle finds out, it's not certain whether he will survive tomorrow. Long was even more aware of how firm his uncle's will was, and that no one else could influence it. Let's give up this idea. Let's focus on the things in front of us. Don't forget where our next goal is to go. It's very important. Long Qian coughed and said. Chapter 202. Exercising the Marshal's first power, please customize. Advertisement. After returning to Wano Kuni, Lu Chen received a call from Yukong. The other party personally told Lu Chen the news and gave him some instructions on his responsibilities and powers after becoming a marshal. Lu Chen knew all this very well, but still listened patiently to what Kong had to say. The era of great pirates has begun. Wano Kuni will definitely be more important in the future. You have to take on this responsibility. Kong said earnestly. Don't worry, Commander. Since I have decided to become marshal, I will definitely take responsibility. Lu Chen responded. Then I'm relieved. Now that the Wano Kuni branch has become the Marine headquarters, it will increase military expenditures and establishment for you. The entire Marine will be at your disposal, Sora said. After talking for a while, Sora put down the phone with satisfaction. Lu Chen can serve as the Marine Marshal, which is what Sora wants to see the most. The plans of the five elders are not something to be considered in vain. Lu Chen also issued the first order at this time, which was to expand Wano Kuni's infrastructure. After all, Marine will station a large number of troops here in the future, and the highest combat capabilities such as Yinqiang will also be stationed at the headquarters. Vice Admiral, Rear Admiral, etc. will also come to the headquarters to report from time to time. Those remaining at the original Marine headquarters will be some branches that are inconvenient to relocate. For example, the scientific force and so on. The current size of the Marine building in Wano Kuni cannot accommodate so many people. Then Lu Chen called Jinbei again. You have meritorious service in conquering all nations this time, and you can be promoted to Vice Admiral. Lu Chen said solemnly. Thank you, Marshal. Jinbei was overjoyed. Within a few years of joining Wano Kuni, I was able to be promoted to Vice Admiral, which was specially promoted by Lu Chen. The relocation of the Fishman Island has to be moved ahead of schedule. It will take at least a year for them all to arrive. Except for the first time Jinbei came with 5,000 fishmen. Several waves came later, but the numbers were not as good as before. According to this progress, it will be difficult to complete within 4 to 5 years. A big problem is that many residents of Mermaid Island do not trust humans. They always feel that this is a human conspiracy. Take them away from their habitat and make them all slaves. Princess Otahime went all out to tell people about this, hoping to make more people trust the Minister of Heavenly Punishment. However, the gap between the mermaids and humans has lasted for hundreds of years and cannot be eliminated in a short time. However, now that Lu Chen has been promoted to Marshal Admiral, everything is different. Advertisement. What does a marshal mean? He commands the entire marine. The credibility is much higher than before. Suppose Admiral may use some deceptive means to achieve a certain purpose. Then the marshal will never do such a thing, it will damage the prestige of the world government. In addition, Wano Kuni has been converted into marine headquarters, which makes it even more attractive than before. Although marine always engages in some secret conspiracy. But I won't do this at marine headquarters. Understood. Jinbei nodded. For him, it is still a relatively difficult task. You can move together with the marine headquarters. I'm afraid such a good opportunity will never happen again. Lu Chen added. Jinbei suddenly remembered that there is another way. With the huge marine as your companion, there is no danger at all on the road. We, the mermaid tribe and the fishman tribe, will never forget your kindness. Jinbei was extremely grateful. Well, go ahead and do it quickly, I'll let Marine take care of you. Qin Miao nodded. Jinbei thanked him deeply and left. Lu Chen called Impel Down. Bulu Bulu. Impel Down, the warden's office, the phone rang in the bathroom. The only person who can set up a bathroom in the office is Warden Magellan. As a user with the ability of the poison fruit, he has to bear the side effects caused by the fruit every day. That is diarrhea caused by poisoning from the poisonous gas exhaled by oneself. I spend up to 10 hours in the bathroom every day, and only 4 hours of actual work. Hey, who is it? Magellan answered the phone. His phone bug also wore a gas mask, otherwise it would not be able to work. It's me, Lu Chen. God's punishment. Marshal. Magellan suddenly became excited. He never expected that Marshal Tianpu would call him. It is said that there are 3 fires for a new official when he takes office, and the first fire must be on his own head. Advertisement. Magellan's mind was spinning rapidly, wondering if there was anything illegal about Impel Down. Or what has he done over the years? As the warden, Magellan has great power. It is even possible to execute the prisoner directly without asking for instructions. Impel Down is about to enter a new group of prisoners, who are members of the Big Mom Pirates. You know this, Lu Chen said. The Big Mom Pirates have been tried and some members have been convicted. As for those members who are not wanted, some of the younger ones have been released. The rest are still investigating whether they committed crimes, which is a relatively long process. Quote. I understand. These evil pirates must be closely guarded and let them feel the terror of Impel Down. Magellan responded immediately. Lu Chen lay on the table and held his forehead. This guy completely misunderstood. It has to be said that Marine is a hateful Marine, making him the perfect candidate to serve as the warden of Impel Down. But now Lu Chen plans to replace him. I will appoint Katakuri as the new warden. He personally captured this group of criminals and knows them very well. Katakuri becomes warden. Then am I demoted to deputy warden? Magellan was confused. Generally speaking, you will be demoted only if you put down the error. But Magellan couldn't think of any negligence on his part. I also have a candidate for deputy warden. Do you plan to leave Impel Down to join the battle on the sea? Manos. Lu Chen always felt that a marine as powerful as Magellan should have a broader stage. And although Magellan's poisonous fruit is paramesha, its power is no worse than Logia. But I like closed spaces. It's best to close your mind as well. This is Magellan's mantra. No, you must fight and leave your comfort zone. This is an order. Lu Chen knew that he could not persuade Magellan, so he could only give the order directly. Yes, Admiral of Heaven's punishment. No, it's Marshal of punishment. I obey the arrangement. Magellan was so frightened that he stood up. Then I realized something and sat back awkwardly. Wait a minute, what did you mean by us just now? Magellan scratched his head, not quite sure. Could it be that Admiral made a slip of the tongue as a punishment from heaven? Oh, and Deputy Warden Hannibal, you will be sent to the same place later, and he will still be your subordinate army. Chapter 203. The new Warden of Impel, please customize. Advertisement. Impel Down, Prison Gate. Magellan and Hannibal stood at the door to greet the new prisoners who were about to arrive. Director, are you sure you want to leave Impel Down? Hannibal said with excitement. Yes, Katakuri will bring formal orders. Magellan nodded. Great, the director is mine. My dream has come true. Hannibal would hide something before, but now he has no scruples. Loud celebration cheers. Before putting it down, other people who Impel Down will also remind Hannibal so as not to anger Magellan. But now that they knew Magellan was leaving, they said nothing more. What's more, Magellan himself didn't have any objections, he just had a smile on his face. Magellan was still holding back, otherwise he would have laughed out loud. He didn't tell Hannibal that he would be transferred, he was just waiting for this scene. Only when Magellan appreciates it enough will he tell Hannibal the truth. Catching one's old friends is also a fun thing. Soon a distant warship came over and docked at the Impel Down dock. Katakuri and Crocodile walked down first. As for Akainu, who once escorted the prisoners, he has left. After all, after entering the Gate of Justice, it is almost impossible for 533 to leave in a bold manner. And Akainu also gained trust in Katakuri. Hello everyone, I won't shake hands because of the fruit. You should also be careful about the air I breathe. Magellan spoke first. Before Katakuri and Crocodile could react, Hannibal ran over. Shake hands with two people first. Hello, my name is Hannibal. I will soon be the warden of Impel Down. In fact, I already am. You just need to hand over to me. Hannibal is very enthusiastic. According to the orders of the Heavenly Punishment Admiral, you and the Magellan Vice Admiral will be transferred to Impel Down. Katakuri frowned. He thought Magellan already knew. Magellan's strength is much stronger than the average Vice Admiral, but his military rank is still Vice Admiral. Advertisement. If you hadn't been unable to make contributions in Impel Down all year round, it would still be possible to hit the Admiral position. So now Katakuri also calls Magellan Vice Admiral. What? This is impossible. Director, please tell me this is fake. Hannibal couldn't accept it for a moment. It's true, I forgot to tell you. Magellan chuckled. Hannibal actually fainted. Take him down to rest, pack his things after he wakes up, and then we should leave. Magellan ordered. The soldiers under his command immediately carried Hannibal back. The next step is to accept the prisoners, and Magellan also needs to complete the handover work. Introduce the structure from Impel Down LV1 to LV6 and so on. I have a question, why do many vicious pirates keep them alive instead of executing them? Crocodile was curious. Especially many of the prisoners in LV6 are pirates who once shocked the world. The heinous crimes they committed could not be offset by death 100 times. The reason is quite complicated. Generally speaking, there are several situations. Magellan is of course obliged to explain to Crocodile. First of all, it's because of the devil fruit. Once the Esper dies, the fruit will possess a certain fruit. By reducing the killing of ability users, we can delay the birth cycle of new ability users. If some powerful fruits are obtained by pirates, the damage caused will be huge. Another powerful wanted criminal will be born. Secondly, these pirates may have some background involvement and can be used as Marines' pawns. Keeping them is more valuable than killing them. What's more, the crimes committed by the pirates were too brutal, and the world government did not want to publicly execute them to prevent these crimes from being exposed. At that time, people will feel fear and will not believe that the world government can protect them. Another point is that Marine sometimes uses these pirates for human experiments. They have strong bodies and can withstand testing better. Using prisoners will not worry about causing public protests, and many people even think that this is what pirates should end up with. So that's it. Crocodile nodded, understanding. Advertisement. Will Auntie be imprisoned in LV5 or LV6 later? Katakuri asked. According to Auntie's level, there is no doubt that it is the standard LV6 level. Magellan answered firmly. Katakuri nodded, he had already prepared it. Being imprisoned in LV6, even if he is the new warden, it is easy to meet him. Although this is their fate, Katakuri has accepted it. The handover went smoothly, and Katakuri and Crocodile quickly took over the management of Impel Down. After all, both of them have long-term experience in leading troops, and Impel Down is more orderly and easier to manage. Taking advantage of the introduction, Magellan pulled Katakuri to a deserted place. You should pay attention to the warden here, his name is Shiryu of Rain. Magellan said solemnly. I've heard of him, and aren't you the double iron wall known as Impel Down? Is there something wrong with this person? Katakuri subconsciously thought that Shiryu of the Rain might be a spy or something. But how can a spy still achieve the position of chief warden? Whenever there is suspicion of espionage, Marine will usually investigate carefully. Not to mention the important fortress in Impel Down. He has gone astray. He has killed prisoners indiscriminately several times. I originally planned to convict Shiryu of Rain if he made such a mistake again. Magellan looked solemn. Shiryu of the Rain did not come to welcome Katakuri this time, also because he was in solitary confinement. It can be said that Shiryu of Rain is what Magellan is most worried about. I understand, I will handle this matter. Katakuri nodded. Magellan was very satisfied with Katakuri's performance, he already seemed like a qualified warden. He didn't appear panicked because of this problem. Hannibal woke up and packed his things while crying. I originally thought that I could reach the peak of my career in Impel Down. But I didn't expect to be transferred. But when he thought of being able to punish pirates happily outside, Hannibal quickly became happy. Impel Down is an impregnable fortress. No one has ever succeeded in jailbreaking. I hope you can keep this record. When Magellan left, he also left these words behind. In the original plot, Golden Lion cut off his legs and became the first person to escape from Impel Down. At that time, Magellan was still the deputy director. As a result, the warden was dismissed due to Golden Lion's escape, and Magellan became the new warden. Chapter 204. Time flies by, brothers meet here, please customize. Advertisement. Now that the world line has changed, the old warden will automatically retire, and Magellan will take over later. So the myth that no prisoners ever escaped from Impel Down still continues. Don't worry, I will stick to my duties. Katakuri also made a guarantee. There are a lot of powerful pirates here. Can I use them to practice? Crocodile had already started thinking. The best way to practice is, of course, to fight with strong people. The first thing Katakuri thought of was Shiryu of the Rain. Maybe Shiryu of Rain had the same idea as Crocodile at the beginning. But over time, he developed the habit of killing prisoners. Even his personality gradually changed. I can't let Crocodile go down this path. Absolutely not. We are the guards here, not the masters. There will be rules to punish these prisoners, not our own hands. Katakuri stared at Crocodile with a serious expression. Many scandals occur in prisons because the warden treats the prison as private property, not realizing that they are actually just senior guards. Crocodile's biggest fear was Katakuri's sullen face. It's clear, it's okay as long as I don't do it. Crocodile immediately surrendered. As long as you understand, we can't live up to master's orders. Katakuri nodded. It can be seen from Magellan and Hannibal. They are very fond of Impel Down. This also increases the burden on both of them. Chen exercised his power for the first time and appointed 2 of his disciples as the chief and deputy wardens of Impel Down. When it comes to other people, it is inevitable that there will be some feeling of supporting one's own power and nepotism. But no one has such doubts about Marshal Tianpu. Everyone knows that Chen is a person who doesn't have much desire for power. For a person who has repeatedly rejected Admiral's appointment, it is ridiculous to say that he supports his own forces. Not to mention Katakuri and Crocodile, their own strength is also excellent in Vice Admiral. Fully qualified to guard Impel Down. Advertisement. More sensitive people realize that this is a change that is coming. Time flies, 10 years have passed. In these 10 years, the originally expected era of great pirates has not been so turbulent. Although the number of pirates has indeed increased, Marine's arresting efforts have also increased. In the first half of the Grand Line, Deputy Marshal Sengoku is in charge, which prevents a large number of pirates from flooding into the New World. In the second half of the Grand Line, there is Marshal Tianpu guarding the area. Capture those powerful and vicious pirates. This 10-year period is called the Age of Divine Punishment. Because of the 2 marshals, pirates no longer caused headaches for the government, nor did they cause any major incidents. What really makes the world government feel troublesome is the elusive revolutionary army. According to intelligence, the ranks of revolutionaries are getting bigger and bigger. The leader of the revolutionaries, Long, has been called the most vicious criminal in history. He has overthrown many countries and is regarded as the biggest enemy of the world government. What is most difficult for the world government to understand is that dragons have extraordinary appeal. Moreover, it has been determined that Long is not a person with the fruit ability of mind control, which proves that Long relies on his own thoughts to capture everyone. Where this advanced revolutionary thought comes from is a huge mystery to world governments. It can only be concluded that Long inherited the excellent genes of the monkey family and was born to be no ordinary person. The world government has also thought of many ways, such as planting spies and so on. But it has never been able to penetrate into the revolutionaries. Instead, many spies were instigated to rebel, became revolutionary soldiers, and engaged in double agent activities. Vice Admiral. The Marine headquarters is ahead. After hearing the report from his subordinates, Magellan walked out of the bathroom. Coming to the deck and taking a breath of fresh air, Magellan felt that the sunshine was beautiful again. In the past, why did I only like to stay in dark corners? 10 years of military career changed Magellan's character. Many people often undergo huge changes because of one thing, and they can do this in 10 years. Unfortunately, the side effects of the poisonous fruit still exist. Unless Magellan gives up breathing, he will not be poisoned. Every time I go to a place, my subordinates will bring a mobile toilet with them as a backup. Moreover, Magellan's title has changed from the strongest man in prison to the toilet vice admiral. Advertisement. Asterisk. Although it doesn't sound good, Magellan doesn't mind. After all, Magellan was often laughed at by Hannibal when Impel was down. Hesitating Magellan's strength is comparable to that of Admiral, and Tianma captured many pirates. Let the name of Vice Admiral spread throughout the real sea. Some people even suffer from toilet phobia because of this, and tremble when they see the toilet. Marine's original new title for Magellan was Vice Admiral, which also sounded very hockey. Unfortunately, there is no toilet which Vice Admiral circulated widely. Toilet Vice Admiral, have you finally gone to work? I will report you for working 2 short hours after I see Marshal Tianpu. Then I'm going to take your place. Oops, I accidentally said what was on my mind. Point 0. There is no doubt that Hannibal is the only one who can say this in front of Magellan. It's up to you. Magellan covered his face helplessly. When will my deputy give up the idea of replacing me? According to Hannibal's ability, he has long been able to take charge of himself. But he didn't expect that an order would come from the Marine headquarters, asking Hannibal to follow Magellan. The reason is, of course, the side effects of Magellan fruit. You can only work 4 hours a day, which often limits Magellan's abilities. In the event of an emergency, it is still necessary to arrange transportation to get out of the country. On the outskirts of Wano-kuni, there are already Marines patrolling and guarding. After Magellan announced his name, the door to Wano-kuni opened immediately. Does a place like Wano-kuni still need to be so defensive? Hannibal couldn't help but sigh every time he returned to Marine headquarters. After all, it is Marine headquarters. If something goes wrong, it will be a big deal. Magellan knows the importance of Marine headquarters. When the ship entered the gate, Magellan noticed that there was also a warship following them. Magellan's eyes widened when he saw clearly the people standing on the opposite ship. That turned out to be Garp Admiral, the biological brother of Marshal Tianpu. Although he has taken a back seat, Garp is still a legend among many young Marines. Garp came here for only one thing, and that was to take his niece Luo back to Fengjun Town, East Blue's hometown. Chapter 205. 3 Marine Golden Flowers please customize. Advertisement. Soon both ships entered Wanokuni's channel. Different from before, it is now much wider. 5 warships can sail side by side without any problems. Arriving at the port, Magellan and others got off the boat first. But he didn't leave immediately, but waited for Garp behind. Garp Admiral, long time no see, Magellan and Hannibal said in unison, both of them bowing their heads in respect. The last time they met was when they went to the former Marine headquarters and saw Garp in Sengoku's office. Is it you? Come back to report on your work. Garp stuffed a senbei into his mouth and asked while eating. He also handed the senbei to 2 people, indicating whether they would eat it or not. Magellan and Hannibal waved their hands quickly. We have completed the order. The Heavenly Punishment Admiral wanted to know the specific information of 933, so he asked us to come back. Magellan said afterwards. Oh, it's business. You go first. I'll go find Lu Chen when you're done. Garp looked a little disappointed. No. Your business is the top priority, please go ahead. How dare Magellan get ahead of Garp? That's right, you invite me first. I'll complain later. Hannibal also made a gesture of inviting him. The other party is not only an admiral, but also the brother of Marshal Marine. Seniority in Marine is very strict. Just leave me alone and you go. I'll go find my niece first, ha ha ha. Garp left with a long laugh. The 2 people who were left a little confused could only look at each other and then headed to the marshal's building. After reporting to the guard at the door, the 2 people were quickly received by the admiral. Please see Admiral. 2 people shouted loudly at the door. Come in, everyone. Lu Chen casually sat on the chair with his legs crossed. But Magellan and Hannibal were very nervous after entering the room. They both knew the strength of the man in front of them. For 10 years, the second half of the Grand Line was called the New World. There has never been any major incident caused by pirates. All thanks to this terrifying man in front of me. Especially in these 10 years, Lu Chen's face has never changed. Advertisement. I heard from some Marine who had met Lu Chen in the early years that it was not just at this time. Lu Chen has always looked like this since he joined Marine. It's beyond human imagination. Some people even worship Lu Chen as a god. However, there are also private rumors that Lu Chen can stay young. It has a lot to do with a certain devil fruit. That devil fruit can sacrifice the life of a person with abilities, and then allow a designated person to gain immortality. It's just that this kind of rumor is too fantasy, and few people believe it at all. The list I gave you, how many Haicho were eliminated on it? Lu Chen asked. Reporting to Marshal, all 8 pirates you designated have been eliminated, but Magellan still had doubts in his heart. If you have anything to say, it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about it in front of me. Lu Chen does not consider himself to be a rigid person. Too many terrifying legends about him have been spread, causing his subordinate Marine to be cautious when in front of him. These pirates are just small characters with a bounty of only tens of millions of belly. Do they need to be hunted down specially? Magellan asked. There are so many pirates worth tens of millions of belly in this sea area. Generally speaking, there are no special arrests, and the local Marine can collect quite a few every year. Why go to all the trouble to catch these pirates? Only those pirates who caused major incidents were hunted down by Marine. And usually the pursuit doesn't last long. After all, the airflow on the Grand Line is changeable, and it may be diverted to other channels if you are not careful. Catching is difficult. Magellan was able to succeed because he was blocked on Sabayati Island. As the only way to the New World, many pirates have failed here. Since you are doing it yourself, how do you feel about the strength of these pirates? Lu Chen said with a smile. Not very powerful, but very talented. Magellan is telling the truth. If given time, many of them will grow into powerful characters. Yes, those pirates who have been famous for a long time are very cunning and difficult to catch, but we can deal with these seedlings in their weak stage in advance. This is the reason why there has not been much movement in New World in 10 years. Lu Chen nodded. I see, I understand. Magellan nodded, already understanding the logic. The big pirates all have their own power, and because they are in a relatively stable state, they will not cause trouble easily. Advertisement. But if the new pirates want to become famous or compete for territory, they will definitely have to fight with each other. Very well, you are also tired during this period. Let's take a rest at Marine headquarters. Clear. Magellan and Hannibal exited the room, already sweating profusely. They waited until they left the building before they dared to speak. Oops, I forgot to report you to Marshal Tianpu for being lazy at work. Han Ji shouted. It's still too late for you to go back now. Magellan was speechless. Hannibal stopped and thought for a few seconds. Let's do it next time. He didn't want to face the punishment of Admiral alone, he couldn't help but kneel down. Magellan waited for a while and found that Hannibal was still standing there without moving. Come on, why are you standing here? Magellan was a little angry. This is still the Marine headquarters, not a place where you can usually have fun. Beautiful, beautiful. Hannibal pointed forward and drooled. Magellan really wanted to kick Hannibal's After all, the Vice Admiral is dignified, but he has such a stupid image. No matter what kind of woman she is, she should remain calm. Then Magellan looked where Hannibal pointed. Suddenly stars appeared in his eyes, and his nosebleed almost flowed out. Beauty, great beauty. It was the 3 Hancock sisters walking towards us. 10 years have passed, and the 3 sisters have all grown into beauties. Of course, the one who can make Magellan and Hannibal lose their minds is Hancock. In addition to Hancock, others such as Yamato have also grown a lot. They are no longer the youthful look they once were, and have become qualified Marines who can participate in battles. Although they are young, they are already wearing Marine uniforms. I dare say, this is Marine's most beautiful military beauty. Magellan murmured to himself. I really want to be one of her subordinates, even a soldier who cleans the deck. Hannibal couldn't help himself. Chapter 206. Garp arrives, please customize. Advertisement. The 3 Hancock sisters were already used to this scene. Not to mention it was Marine who came to report on his duties. Even the soldiers and generals who are stationed at the Marine headquarters all year round look like this every time they see Hancock. Get out of the way. Hancock was speechless when he saw the 2 people still standing in front of him. Magellan and Hannibal had been petrified by Hancock's beauty and had not heard anything. Hancock was speechless and stepped forward to kick him. Perfume femur. Although it does not have the ability to be a sweet fruit, it can petrify the opponent. But this is Hinajima's trick after all, and its power is extraordinary. Now Hancock has not only learned Marine's physical skills, etc., but has also mastered the original Kike of Hiroyuki Island. Magellan and Hannibal reacted after being kicked away. You are just an ordinary soldier, but you dare to attack Vice Admiral. Magellan stood up with a look of disbelief on his face. Although he said that the other party was a soldier from the Marine headquarters, this was too arrogant. I will be forgiven for whatever I do, because I am so beautiful. Hancock tilted his head back and pointed at Magellan in a very exaggerated gesture. Magellan was stunned for a second, then grinned. 27 inches, I forgive you. There is no way, the other party is too beautiful. I'm different, can you give me another kick? Hannibal came over and said. Even when Hancock kicked him, Hannibal felt very comfortable. Get away. It wasn't Hancock who took action this time. But the 2 sisters Sandersonia and Marigold. The 2 of them also attacked without mercy, especially those who dared to harass their sister. Hannibal was kicked away again. But why did I feel uncomfortable this time? Instead, it hurt. It hurts like hell, both mentally and physically. The 3 Hancock sisters walked straight towards Lu Chen's office. Lu Chen was thinking about how many potential dangers there were. Basically all the pirates in my memory have been captured. The problem still lies in the later supernova generation, which is called the Pirates of the Crime Era. It's a pity that there is no news about these members now. Advertisement. After all, there is still some time left, and most of these supernovae may not have turned into pirates yet. Just like his great-nephew Luffy, he should still be living in Windmill Town. Maybe you should choose a time to meet your grandnephew and send him some thoughts. Report. Hancock's voice came from outside the door. Come in, Lu Chen said. Of the 3 sisters, only Hancock walked in. After all, this was the Marshal's office. Master, your brother, Marine Admiral Garp, is here and is currently in the Murloc residence. Hancock reported. Where the Fishmen live, are you with Robin? A smile appeared on Lu Chen's lips. During this time, Robin liked to go to the place where the fish people lived and spend time with the fish people Princess Bai Xing. According to Robin, she is very interested in the history of the mermaid tribe. It is believed that the mermaid tribe only established diplomatic relations with the world government hundreds of years ago. But it should have interacted with the human world a long time ago. All of this may be lost to history. Unearthing this history has become Robin's most interesting thing now. Robin's interest in archaeology was undoubtedly influenced by his mother. Lu Chen did not interfere intentionally. It is good for children to have their own hobbies. Many times this is nature and cannot be changed. That's right, Garp Admiral ran over by himself and asked us to come over and say something to you. We'll come over when we're done, Hancock said. Nowadays, the only one who can speak to Lu Chen like this and ask him to go there is Garp. Okay, I'll go over right away and just take care of the elderly. Lu Chen smiled and stood up. Soon Lu Chen brought the 3 Hancock sisters to the mermaid settlement. This is a place inside Wanokuni, close to an inner sea. This allows the mermaids to enter the water from time to time. In fact, the mermaid tribe can completely live on land. They are amphibious creatures. It's not a creature that can't leave the water. It's just that because it was dangerous to go to land on land before, there weren't many mermaids on land. Now Wanokuni is an absolutely safe place, and many mermaids have begun to live on land. The entire the Fishman Island has moved here to live. Only a very small number of mermaid warriors stayed in the original palace and were responsible for taking care of the buildings there. Advertisement. Since there are no more mermaids, there are no more pirates passing through Mermaid Island. After coating the ship, they all leave directly through the Red Line. Through Lu Chen's operation, selling mermaids or fishmen is now a serious crime and can even be punished directly. A few desperate human traffickers dare not attack these mermaid warriors. Isn't it a joke to catch fishermen on the bottom of the sea? The possibility of being counterattacked is too high. What's more, the subsequent risks are too high. So now the human traffickers are going to arrest rare human races like the Longhand clan. No one dares to lay a hand on the mermaid. I've seen Marshal Tianpu. See Marshal of Heavenly Punishment. The mermaids who saw Lu Chen along the way all saluted Lu Chen one after another. Lu Chen was already used to it, and he went all the way to the mermaid clan's palace. Neptune and Princess Otahime lived here. Although the newly built palace is not as grand as the one on Mermaid Island before 083, it can still accommodate the royal family. Ha ha ha, I like eating fish very much. I hope I didn't offend you. No, fish is also our main food source. Strictly speaking, we are closer to humans than to fish. That's good, ha ha ha. The voices of Garp and Neptune talking could be heard in the distance. Because they all have loud voices, they can be heard clearly. Brother, you didn't go directly to my place when you came. Lu Chen walked into the palace. Princess Otahime, Shirahoshi and Robin are all here. As for the three princes, they are now part of Marine and are responsible for training the mermaid army. I'm here to see my niece, not this guy like you, whose face hasn't changed after all these years. Garp also complained. Today, Garp can be said to be very old and has gray hair. However, he is very energetic, and his older appearance is entirely caused by being overdrawn several times in previous battles. Lu Chen also lamented that it was a pity that Garp was unwilling to learn the art of facial rejuvenation. Then you won't be able to fight happily. Even if he is relegated to the second line, Garp often likes to use an iron fist to teach those who don't talk. In order to see my niece come to Wano-kuni, I must have killed a lot of pirates on the way. Lu Chen started the topic. Chapter 207. It is indeed his biological child, please customize. Advertisement. Wherever there are pirates, they are just little shrimps. With you as the Marshal of Heavenly Punishment, the new world is much boring now. I might as well go to the first half of the Grand Line or wander around the East Blue. Garp dug nostrils said. East Blue. Are you homesick? Lu Chen said with a smile. For people who are drifting on the sea, homesickness is a normal thing. But for the sake of dreams and beliefs, there are many people who have not returned home for decades. There are even people who pass by the house without going back to take a look. Nominate Usopp's cheating father here. As a result, Usopp has been bragging at home for more than 10 years, and no one has come to testify against him. Of course, the reason why the pirates don't go home is to avoid causing trouble to their families. There's something I should probably tell you. Dayton just called me a few days ago. Garp's face was solemn, as if he wanted to say something important. Seeing this scene, Neptune and others expressed that they needed to leave because of something. In a blink of an eye, only 3 members of the monkey family, Lu Chen, Garp and Robin, were left in the huge palace. They're all gone anyway. I don't think it's anything important. Garp touched his head, feeling a little at a loss. Or because when Garp was chatting with Neptune here before, he was always smiling. His face suddenly became solemn, which may make people who are not familiar with Garp feel a little uncomfortable. After all, Garp's reputation has already resounded throughout the sea. Even those on Mermaid Island have heard of it a long time ago. Yes, isn't it Luffy who was in Windmill Village? Lu Chen nodded. The next second, Garp went berserk. Haki shot out all over his body, and he came directly in front of Lu Chen and punched him. Lu Chen was well prepared and easily avoided it. As expected of my brother, it seems that his strength is still there. Lu Chen smiled. You be asterisk 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 D. You already knew that my lovely grandson was in Windmill Village, right? You didn't even tell me. Garp continued to attack. Even if he didn't hit Chin Miao with one punch, the huge destructive power caused the surrounding walls to collapse. Neptune and others who had left the palace were very happy. Fortunately, I ran fast and was not affected. They were not worried about hearing any secrets at all, but they had heard it from many people. Most of the time when Garp and Lu Chen meet, they will start fighting directly. Although it is a joke, most people can't stand it. Advertisement. Did that be asterisk 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 D long tell you? Garp continued to ask. When I think about the fact that my son doesn't have a close relationship with me. On the contrary, I have a very good relationship with my uncle, and I feel jealous. But of course Garp couldn't say it out loud, so he turned it into a fist. Every time I meet, I can't help but make a move. Of course not, I guessed it. Lu Chen smiled bitterly. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have predicted it, but I guessed it right. The reason why Lu Chen, who made Garp run so fast, came to look for him was probably because of family matters. Guess. Why don't I believe it? Garp stopped attacking. Garp was able to learn the news because Dayton called him. Tell Garp that he can no longer control Luffy, this kid is too troublesome. It can torture people even more than the original dragon. And he clamored every day that he wanted to be a pirate or something like that, and become the Pirate King. Ask Garp to go back quickly to pick him up and send him to the army. Lest he really turned into a pirate, Dayton couldn't bear the consequences. It's too simple. I just feel that Long's father has never taken care of him since he was born, so Long must be learning from this terrible father. Lu Chen said with a smile. Garp blushed. There is no doubt that this bad dad is himself. He also wants to be like Lu Chen, taking his family with him wherever he goes. It's a pity that there has never been a suitable opportunity. In the blink of an eye, the dragon has grown up. Now it has even become a revolutionary army, which gives Garp a headache. In short, I came here this time to take Robin and Ace back to Windmill Village. Robin should also go see his nephew. Family members should keep in touch with each other. Garp said with a dry cough. Although Ace does not have the blood of the monkey family. But everyone regards Ace as part of the family, especially Robin who watched Ace grow up. He loves his younger brother very much. Of course the way to love him is to tease Ace. Okay, I can see my nephew. Robin suddenly became happy. Chen was a little weird when he saw this scene. This generation was completely in chaos. Advertisement. Ace calls Robin his senior sister, but when he sees Luffy, who is only 2 years younger than him, he definitely calls him his younger brother. Luffy wants to call Robin Flying Ant. Forget it, it doesn't matter so much. Just let them make their own arrangements. At worst, everyone will do their own thing. As long as there is no problem like you call me dad and I call you brother, it will be fine. I also want to meet Luffy. Let's go together. I'll use the Flying Thunder God technique and we can go there. Chen nodded. When it comes to this point, Garp is a bit disappointed. He also thought about slowly and leisurely sailing on the sea with his niece and Ace. What a great opportunity to bond. Many people join Marine just to enjoy the opportunity to be close to the sea. Especially Aokiji, one of the Marine admirals nowadays, always rides a bicycle on the sea when traveling. There's no more leisurely way to travel. And you can avoid Robin. By the way, don't go. Ace added. Of course I don't want to be separated from you, senior sister, but senior sister must still have important things to do, so we won't disturb senior sister. Ace has not joined Marine until now because he is underage. Then do you want me to go? Robin came closer with a smile on his face. I stayed in Wano Kuni for too long and wanted to go out for a long time. I haven't been out in Wano Kuni for many years. Great, I'm going to East Blue, to Windmill Village. Ace was very excited. There is no time to travel with myself at all. However, he has been training with Marine and is already a qualified warrior. The next 3 people found Ace inside the training ground. Okay, Garp could only reluctantly agree. Ace thought of a way to say something that would definitely not be a problem. All of his body is covered with muscles, which are proof of his cultivation. At the same time, he quietly glanced at Robin. I have been teased by Robin too many times over the years, and I finally have a chance to escape. But when I think about Chen being the marshal now, he is very busy every day. Robin spoke first, saying that his father and uncle were going to Windmill Village and wanted to take Ace with them. Chapter 208. Pirate King Luffy. Please customize. Advertisement. Of course I don't want to be separated from you, senior sister, but senior sister must still have important things to do, so we won't disturb senior sister. Ace thought of an explanation that would definitely not be a problem. But senior sister also wants to go. Robin sighed. Ace's eyes lit up. I really want to go, but that just means I can't go. That's a pity. I'll take a look around on your behalf, senior sister. Just stay at the Marine headquarters with peace of mind, senior sister. Ace grinned. Forget it, in order to take care of your poor junior brother along the way, I will accompany you. Robin looked embarrassed. No need, really no need. Ace suddenly had a grimace on his face. I thought I could finally escape from Robin's clutches, but I didn't expect that Robin would go too. That's not possible. Some people have decided to go there from the beginning. Robin said with a proud smile. Ace understood as soon as he heard it. After doing this for a long time, Robin was just trying to make fun of himself. This kind of thing happened too many times in the past, and he couldn't even get angry. I'm not going, I want to stay here to practice. Ace immediately changed his mind. Since you can't fight Robin, you might as well hide. Uncle, this guy I doesn't plan to go. Luo immediately complained to Garp. 173. What, you don't even plan to go? Garp raised his fist at Ace. Of course Ace couldn't just give in. You're a man, if you say you don't want to go, you won't go. Oops, my head. After being handsome for only 3 seconds, Ace received a punch from Garp on the head. He immediately covered his head and squatted on the ground, tears streaming down his face. A soldier who disobeys orders is not a good Marine, remember that Ace. Garp said. Then I won't be a Marine. Ace cried sadly. This sentence, of course, was followed by another iron fist. Finally Ace was convinced and agreed to go to Windmill Village together. Of course, persuasion is not very accurate, it would be more appropriate to persuade. The ship sailed slowly away from Wano Kuni, and Chen was also at the door to see them off. Although I know that with their strength, there will be no problems. But this is Robin's first time traveling away from him, and it is inevitable for Chen to have an old father's mentality. Advertisement. Chen also felt quite bored without Robin. Fortunately, his wife is still with him, allowing Lu to feel the warmth of home. However, within a few days, Chen received Marine's secret information. Mihawk and the red-haired man had a duel to prove their swordsmanship. Whitebeard was invited to be a witness to the duel. Although Marine agents obtained this information, they did not know who was the winner in the end. The big pirates in the New World have not made any big moves for a long time. So this matter naturally attracted Chen's attention. As for the final winner of this battle, Chen guessed that Mihawk had the upper hand or it was a tie. Maybe he didn't defeat the redhead, but he was definitely not the one who suffered. After all, according to the timeline, Hongfa has already visited East Blue Windmill Village. Lost an arm there. Without one hand, it is too difficult to fight against an opponent with 2 intact hands. What's more, Mihawk is not an ordinary character. He has long been famous for his swordsmanship. Another important reason is that in the plot, Mihawk also had a duel with a redhead who lost an arm. When he met the redhead later, Mihawk said that he had no interest in fighting someone who had lost an arm. It proves that after the red hair became disabled, his strength was indeed greatly weakened. In the previous duel, Mihawk clearly felt that the red-haired man's strength was weakened and he lost interest. So there is a high possibility that this duel will end without a result, but Mihawk should be the winner. Paper cannot contain the fire, especially such a big event. Soon the news of the duel between Redhead and Hawkeye spread throughout the world. But it also has nothing to do with the final outcome of this battle. However, everyone knew about the red-haired broken arm. The results of most pirate analysis are the same as Lu Chen's, believing that Mihawk won. Only a few people firmly believe that the redhead did not lose. Some people already consider Mihawk to be the best swordsman in the world. However, Hawkeye made a statement that he was not the 10th swordsman in the world. Because there is a more powerful swordsman, that is Marine Marshal Lu Chen. So Mihawk said that he would come to Wano Kuni and ask for a duel with Lu Chen. Advertisement. When this news was released, the whole world was shocked. Mihawk wants to single out Marshal Marine, is this because he thinks his life is too long? Who doesn't know how powerful Marshal Tien Punishment is and how many great pirates he has destroyed? Although Mihawk has been causing harm for many years now, he can still be called a big pirate. But he was alone, without any companions. Going to Wano Kuni is not asking for death. It is estimated that even Wano Kuni's gate could not be entered, and it was directly bombarded by warships in the outer waters. However, there are also pirates who are gloating about the misfortune, saying that Mihawk is looking for Marshal Tianpu to challenge the swordsmanship. It's not like he's attacking Wano Kuni. In that case, let alone Mihawk alone, it is still unknown whether all the pirates combined can succeed. If Marshal Tianpu didn't dare to accept the challenge, he would be admitting that his attainments in swordsmanship were not as good as Mihawk's. What these people want is nothing more than to undermine Marine's prestige through this incident. In the minds of many people, Marshal Tianpu is invincible. Has become a myth. Many pirates are hoping that Mihawk can break this myth. After hearing Mihawk's declaration, Lu Chen did not back down. Instead, he expressed that he was looking forward to it and welcomed Mihawk to Wano Kuni. The Marine headquarters will open the door and let him come in freely. There is no doubt that this is more exciting than the duel between Mihawk and Redhead. After all, the red-haired man is missing an arm and cannot use his power during a fight. But Marshal Tianpu is different, and he is still famous for a long time. Although Mihawk has been famous for a long time, in front of Marshal Tianpu, he is just a newcomer who has just sailed on the sea. The whole world was shocked again, they were already waiting for a peak showdown. There are even people who are constantly reporting Mihawk's movements and how he is getting closer to Wano Kuni step by step. The countdown to the showdown with Marshal Heavenly Punishment has begun. Meanwhile on the other side, East Blue Windmill Village. I will never be a marine. When I grow up, I want to be a pirate. Seeing his beloved grandson clamoring to become a marine, veins popped up on Pooh's forehead. Damn redhead, how dare you mislead my grandson. Chapter 209. The Fateful Encounter of Three Brothers. Please customize. Advertisement. The redhead is my good friend, you are not allowed to say that about him. Luffy aimed at Garp and punched him. Garp shook his head and smiled bitterly. The little guy had just reached his knees. Just wanting to hit myself is too whimsical. But the next second, Garp was really punched in the face. Next to them, Robin and Ace were surprised to find that Luffy's fist could be extended. Garp had no defense and covered his mouth after being punched. Did you, kid, eat devil fruit? Garp asked. Yes, I ate rubber fruit, it's the rubber man. Luffy nodded. Luffy had no feelings at all for his grandfather, who had just appeared. In Luffy's memory, Daiden is the only family member. In addition, the bar owner Makino is also very kind to Luffy. Look, I can't control it anymore. Daiden said beside him, holding his forehead. Ever since Luffy was sent here, he has been a very noisy child. I didn't expect that the older I get, the more active I become. I used to play with a kid named Sabo and made a secret base in the mountains. I often didn't come back for several days. Forget it, Luffy wants to become a pirate recently. Daiden himself is a retired bandit and has become a good man. He knew very well that if he trained Luffy to become a pirate, Garp would probably beat him up. Daiden couldn't contact Long, so he had no choice but to call Garp. The redhead even gave you the devil fruit. The hat on your head looks very familiar. Garp frowned. Isn't this the straw hat Roger wore back then? During the time when Roger disappeared and reappeared, the straw hat also disappeared. It later appeared on the red-haired head, and now it's given to Luffy. Maybe it represents some kind of inheritance. Garp didn't think much about the significance of just a straw hat. So what if it's Roger's straw hat? He is not the thoughtful type. The red hair gave this to me. Luffy covered the straw hat with his hand, as if he was afraid of being taken away. But Luffy was overthinking it. No one was interested in his straw hat at all. Advertisement. Red hair, don't mention red hair again. Garp became anxious and punched Luffy on the head. Luffy was also beaten and squatted on the ground. The difference is that he didn't burst into tears, but started crying directly. Then he turned around and ran towards the mountain. Ace and Robin were interested in this stubborn child. Ace, this nephew of mine looks a lot like you when you were a kid. Robin said. No way, it's completely different. Ace shook his head, he was not as squeamish as Luffy. I think they're all pretty much the same. They're all crybabies. Robin laughed. Ace immediately blushed. He did cry a lot when he was a child, and Robin recorded it all. But which child doesn't cry? Garp is preparing to catch up and let his grandson accept Marine's devil training. He must change his mind about becoming a pirate. Uncle, leave it to me, Ace and I will change him. Robin stood up and said. If you want to go alone, don't drag me along. I'm not interested in being a nanny. Ace muttered softly. Oops, I forgot about the time you peed your pants when we went to play together. Robin laughed. That happened more than 10 years ago, don't mention it again. Ace suddenly became anxious. What Ace fears most about Robin is that Robin clearly remembers all the embarrassing things he did when he was a child. He brings it up at every turn and threatens himself with it. For the sake of the situation, Ace often had to grit his teeth and endure it. Then why don't you go and find Luffy with me? Robin looked proud. Go, I'll go. Ace shouted reluctantly. Then Robin looked at Garp and said that he was going with Ace. Garp nodded in agreement. As an old man, I am too old, and it is difficult for me and Luffy to blend in together in the first place. Only young people have common topics. Long time no see, let's have a drink. Dayton invited Garp. Okay, I really miss the past. Garp also laughed. Together with Dayton's companions, they got into the room. Robin and Ace followed the traces and soon found Luffy. Advertisement. Luffy actually stayed in a tree house, 23 meters above the ground. There is no need to worry about wild beasts attacking in the middle of the night. No wonder Luffy can live here for several days. ... Please give me flowers. Luffy, come down quickly. I'm your aunt, Robin shouted from below. However, Luffy did not come out, but a boy wearing a noble hat came out. I am Luffy's eldest brother, Sabo. How dare you bully my brother? Leave now, or I will teach you a lesson. It was Sabo who walked out. Because he couldn't stand his parents' indifference to civilians, Sabo now ran away from home and came here. The two of them met Luffy on the mountain, had a fight over the territory, and ended up becoming good friends. Sabo, who is 1 year older than Luffy, naturally becomes the eldest brother. Seeing a boy younger than himself saying that he wanted to teach him a lesson, Ace was also angry and laughed. 0. We didn't bully Luffy, but you actually said that you can protect Luffy, then show your skills. Ace then shouted with his fist. Okay, whoever loses will be the opponent's younger brother. Sabo jumped from the air and landed firmly on the ground. There is nothing wrong with the height of more than 20 meters, which is enough to prove that Sabo is not an ordinary child. Sabo defeated Luffy in the first place, so he became the eldest brother. Okay, let's compete. Ace was also eager to give it a try. It takes too long to sail from Wano Kuni to East Blue. There was no one to fight with him, and Ace felt his fists and feet were unfamiliar. Robin had a smile on his face. He realized that his visit was indeed not in vain. You can also see a scene like two children fighting, which is so interesting. However, the battle between Sabo and Ace ended quickly, and Ace naturally won. Ace, who has been training in Marine since childhood, is not on the same level as Sabo in terms of strength. Don't bully Sabo. Luffy saw Sabo being knocked down. He also jumped down from the tree and stood in front of Sabo. Idiot, I'm your brother too, we are all family. Ace said helplessly. That's right, we are all his little brothers now. Sabo also had a wry smile on his face. Except the bet, since the fight was lost to Ace. Then he would be willing to be Ace's little brother without any complaints. Then I call him Big Brother. Luffy looked confused. Chapter 210. Luffy's childhood shadow, please customize. Advertisement. Brother. Sabo shouted to Ace first. Brother. Luffy also shouted. Ace put his hands on his hips, but he was very satisfied with the two younger brothers. Although the strength is a bit lacking, at least he does what he says. From today on, I will be covering you too. Ace promised, patting his chest. History often develops along its original trajectory and will not be easily changed by external forces. Robin also smiled slightly when he saw this scene. I was originally worried about how to establish a relationship between Ace and Luffy. After all, there is no blood relationship between them. But now it seems that my worries are unnecessary. The feelings between boys are too simple and not that complicated. Kekexi Luffy and this kid named Sabo are both very weak and have not received systematic training at all. Fortunately, they all have high talents and will definitely be able to stand alone in the future. Luffy, you will also become a Marine in the future, and you must become the strongest Marine like your grandfather and second grandfather. From now on, you will receive special training. Robin put on a stern expression. Luffy didn't feel any fear from this ant's words. After all, Robin is good looking and not as scary as Dawei. Ace trembled involuntarily. He recalled the scene where he was specially trained by Robin. It was a truly unbearable memory. But then I realized that I no longer had to train, it was Luffy and Sabo's turn. Hey, this is a very special training. If you don't work hard, you might die, and if you try hard, you might die. Ace also started gearing up. He suddenly understood why Robin always liked to bully him. It turns out that torturing others is such a fun thing. I'm going to die. Luffy and Sabo hugged each other in fear. They all began to wonder if this was really their new eldest brother. You didn't say you wanted to protect yourself from being bullied just now, and now you're bullying yourself in the blink of an eye. The following time will become an eternal nightmare for Luffy and Sabo. They were forced to perform extensive weight-bearing physical training. Advertisement. From time to time, they are thrown into mountains full of wild beasts and need to find food on their own. They are always faced with the fate of starving to death or being eaten as food by wild beasts. Garp was originally planning to do it himself, but after seeing all this, he was very satisfied. This is originally the training method of elite Marines, and it is normal to be cruel. For example, world government CP troops use this method to train soldiers. Some secret troops select orphans who lost their parents during the war. Even if these orphans die midway or become disabled as a result, no one will have any objections. Of course, these are the dark side of world government and will not be made known to the public. And Garp believes that his grandson, the child named Sabo, has the talent to survive. If they die, it will only prove that they are hardly qualified to survive in this cruel world. A real near-death experience made this experience the shadow of Luffy and Sabo's childhood. It's a very hardcore shadow, not as simple as listening to a ghost story. Even in Windmill Village, Garp saw the latest newspapers. Oh, Mihawk has arrived at Wano Kuni, haha. Looking at the news above, Garp put the senbei in his mouth very leisurely. Aren't you worried? Dayton asked next to him. This is the biggest news in recent times. A battle between two people who are closest to the peak of swordsmanship in the world will naturally attract the attention of the world. Especially apart from the last battle between Red Hair and Mihawk, nothing major happened for a long time. Worried? What are you worried about? Garp waved his head in confusion. I'm worried that Chen will lose. Dayton reminded. Haha, how is that possible? Garp laughed. There was no look of worry on his face. I heard that Mihawk is very strong. He is a pirate who has been very popular recently. He has defeated many sword masters. Although Dayton is in Windmill Village, he is still very concerned about the world's situation. This is also due to the development of journalism. Newspapers can be obtained everywhere. To people of our generation, it's not unusual for a master of this level to appear every 7 or 8 years. Garp is well informed. Advertisement. Characters like Mihawk are actually not uncommon. The ones who really make people feel scared are pirates like Cross, Roger and Golden Lion. Nowadays, these pirates have become legends, and their true appearance has disappeared from everyone's memory. In Garp's opinion, the only one who can rival these legendary pirates today is Whitebeard. Assuming Kaido and Big Mom were not defeated, they would still be on this list. Or maybe the redhead didn't lose his arm, or maybe he still had Roger's original demeanor. But all this is just hypothetical. The legendary era of pirates has passed. Nothing can make Garp feel excited now. Accompanying his family and watching them grow up was his final injustice. That's right. Dayton nodded and said nothing more. After all, Hawkeye is also a pirate with a very high bounty, so he cannot be too careful and vigilant. Everything is a mystery. No problem. Mihawk was not dissatisfied. Or because he repeatedly entered forbidden areas that Marines were not allowed to pass through, and attacked many Marines who used swords. The eyes of the world were now on Wano Kuni. Upon hearing these words, the pirate ship at Mihawk's feet automatically headed towards the door. Where did Mihawk come from and where did he come from? As the entrance to Wano Kuni slowly opened, a warship appeared at the door. But the ship looked very strange, with green candles burning on both sides of the ship. Mihawk, Marshal Tianpu, please come in. Magellan said slowly. It can be seen that Dayton also experienced a lot back then, and is now so open-minded. Wait a minute, pirate ships can't pass here, Wano Kuni is the Marine headquarters here. Magellan stretched out his hand to indicate. Even Mihawk himself does not engage in any robbery, which is why he is called a pirate. Mihawk has appeared at the entrance of Wano Kuni, surrounded by very nervous Marines. Then there was a wanted order and he was called a pirate. Although it is just a 2.8-inch boat, it may be a captain of a lifeboat. As the base camp of Marine, it is impossible to let a pirate ship pass through the gate openly. This is obviously not what ordinary candles should look like.